Welcome to part 35 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, and more. Tomb of Alexander the Great. The location of Alexander the Great's tomb remains one of history's enduring mysteries, with modern scholars and archaeologists offering various theories and claims about its whereabouts. Traditionally, most historical and archaeological evidence suggests that Alexander the Great, after his death in 323 BC, was initially buried in Memphis, Egypt. According to this tradition, his remains were later moved to Alexandria by Ptolemy I, one of his generals who later became ruler of Egypt. Importantly, this happened after Ptolemy ordered his men to steal the body of Alexander, given that it was commonly believed that his skills and abilities indicated that he was divine. Alexandria, a city founded by Alexander himself, is often the most cited location for his final resting place. Despite the general consensus about Alexandria as the tomb's location, specific whereabouts within the city have eluded discovery. Throughout the centuries, various possible sites have been proposed. One theory posits that the tomb might be located beneath the Nebi Daniel Mosque, which has been claimed by local tradition, although these claims are not supported by verifiable evidence. Notably, this theory was supported by Heinrich Schliemann, the German amateur archaeologist who discovered the then presumed likely non-historical city of Troy. Schliemann attempted to have the custodian of the mosque agree to a full-scale excavation of the site, but the custodian refused this, and the mosque remains intact until this day. However, in the 1990s, a significant archaeological claim by a Greek archaeologist pointed to the Siwa oasis in Egypt as the site of Alexander's tomb. The archaeologist identified a large royal tomb with inscriptions and carvings that she believed belonged to Alexander. However, her claim was met with skepticism from the academic community and the Greek and Egyptian governments, eventually leading to the cessation of her excavation work. Another layer of complexity was added with the discovery of a massive tomb in Amphipolis, northern Greece, in 2014. While initially thought to be a potential site for Alexander's burial, subsequent research indicated it was more likely a tomb for a high-ranking Macedonian official and not for Alexander himself. In 2021, Egyptian authorities announced very preliminarily that the site may have been discovered in, of all places, the Siwa oasis. However, at present, further news has yet to meaningfully develop. I note that archaeological excavations are no longer done Heinrich Schliemann style, so I anticipate I'll have an update for you on this mystery in around 30 years or so. The disappearance of Haruchika Miyagi. Haruchika Miyagi, a 34-year-old man from American Fork, Utah, mysteriously disappeared on December 5, 2015, after being last seen in Dewey, Arizona. Haruchika was known as Haru to friends and family, and as such I'll be referring to him as such from now on. His disappearance sparked considerable concern, especially because he had no known ties to the area where he was last seen, and his actions on the day he disappeared were uncharacteristic. Miyagi was involved in developing investment software and was an active content creator on YouTube, where he shared videos on topics largely related to his software. I note that his channel, Haru Miyagi, is still up today, though the channel appears to offer no insight whatsoever into his disappearance. On the afternoon of his disappearance, Miyagi trespassed onto private property in Dewey, Arizona. The property owner reported that Miyagi was looking for a place to stay, but was advised to seek a hotel instead. Subsequently, Miyagi was seen leaving the property in a hurry, damaging a gate with his car, a red 2002 Mazda Protege. Shortly afterward, this vehicle was found abandoned, with significant damage to its front end. Despite extensive searches, including the use of search dogs and reviews of phone records indicating his last known location, Miyagi has not been found, and there was no trace of him near the abandoned car. Garloids. The Garloids are a modern internet urban legend that emerged from the depths of 4chan. This legend centers around a peculiar image of a man filling a pig's stomach with tap water, ambiguously dubbed a garloid. This image first appeared in a culinary blog post about cooking ponce, a Cajun dish involving a stuffed pig's stomach. The blogger described testing the stitches of the stomach by filling it with water, which inadvertently led to the creation of the garloid image when shared out of context on 4chan on October 31st, 2020. The term garloid quickly caught on, with users on 4chan and Reddit speculating and joking about its meaning and characteristics. An Urban Dictionary entry defined a garloid as a biological construct with mammalian traits but plant-like organization, purportedly producing a milk-like substance. This definition added to the creature's mystique, suggesting that garloids require special care, particularly avoiding tap water, which supposedly degrades their health and milk quality. Notably, a subreddit popped up discussing ways to get the most quote-unquote milk from your garloid. Given the unusual appearance of these so-called creatures, many outsiders believe that the garloid phenomenon is actually real, contributing to the urban legend. The Koto Furunushi. The Koto Furunushi is a yokai, a creature from Japanese folklore, recognized for its association with the koto, Japan's national instrument. The koto is a traditional Japanese stringed musical instrument, similar to a zither. It typically has 13 strings that are stretched over a long, hollow wooden body, played by plucking with the fingertips or picks attached to the fingers. The koto produces a distinctive resonant sound integral to various forms of Japanese music. This entity is categorized within a group of yokai known as tsukumogami. Tsukumogami are artifacts or household items that have acquired a spirit after 100 years of existence. The Koto Furunushi represents the spirit of an old koto that has manifested itself into a yokai after being neglected or forgotten. This transformation is a common theme in the lore surrounding Tsukumogami, where objects, once cherished and then set aside, gain a new life as spirits with their unique personalities and characteristics. This is based on the animistic belief derived from Shinto folk beliefs that all objects have a spirit or essence. The Koto Furunushi, unlike many other yokai, is not typically malevolent. Instead, these creatures are more often characterized by their desire to make their presence felt or to express grievances about their neglect. The Koto Furunushi will generally act mischievously, playing a beautiful song just within earshot of individuals, but slowly stopping as they get closer to the source. They are also known to form friend groups with other Tsukumogami, so if your koto is inexplicably beside your old umbrella and old sleeping mat, you know you've got a Koto Furunushi on your hands. But that's okay, because seriously, unlike basically every other yokai covered in this series, there's literally no downside to cohabitating with one of these creatures. There are even stories which suggest that if you treat it with enough respect, it will openly play special songs for you and your friends. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. My goal is to make the most extensive Iceberg series in YouTube history, and I want you along for the ride. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents a month. The Disappearance of Rodricus Durrell Keith. Rodricus Durrell Keith, a 37-year-old man known for his skills in survival and living off the grid, vanished in May 2022 after last making contact with his family in March of that year. Before his disappearance, Keith was living in the Talladega National Forest in Alabama. He lived with a group consisting of other individuals who also live off the grid, a sort of survivalist outpost in the middle of the forest. He referred to this group of people as his, quote, tribe, though I was unable to find any significant information on this group of people. However, from the context it appears that this group of people represented a like-minded group of survivalists, or as like-minded as such a group can be. I note that reading between the lines, this group appears to be known by authorities. His lifestyle involved extended periods without typical societal contact, though he consistently maintained communication with his family during such times. According to authorities and his family, this makes his current silence both unusual and concerning. The details of Keith's disappearance started with him leaving the group he was living with in May. This disappearance prompted concern because it deviated from his usual pattern of periodically checking in with family members and also maintaining social contacts generally. Given the lack of concrete evidence or sightings, multiple theories have emerged. One prevalent idea is that Keith might have chosen to isolate himself even further from any form of civilization. This theory is supported by his previous behaviors and expertise in living in harsh, remote conditions. Another theory considers the possibility of an accident or an encounter with wildlife, which is plausible given his last known whereabouts. Others have speculated that Keith may have met with foul play, a theory that unfortunately does seem plausible as well. Keith's family remains extremely concerned about his whereabouts and well-being. If you have any information about Keith's whereabouts, I urge you to reach out to the Talladega County Sheriff's Office. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist. This is a suggestion by Discord community member Delusions, as well as Discord member Iced Mocha. Thank you both for this great suggestion. In the early hours of March 18, 1990, an audacious art heist unfolded at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, marking one of the most significant unsolved mysteries in the modern art world. Disguised as police officers, two thieves deceived the night guards into granting them entry under the pretext of investigating a disturbance. Once inside, the guards were subdued and the museum's security compromised in a matter of minutes. Over the next 81 minutes, the thieves executed a meticulously planned raid, stealing 13 artworks valued collectively at approximately $500 million. The stolen pieces included masterworks from such big names of the art world such as Rembrandt and Vermeer. Also taken were a Chinese bronze beaker from the Shang dynasty, and several works by Degas and Manet, among others. The methodical nature of the theft, which involved cutting paintings from their frames and avoiding leaving physical evidence, indicated a high level of professionalism. The investigation into the heist has spanned decades, with numerous leads pursued and theories proposed about the identity of the thieves and the location of the stolen art. Initial suspicions pointed to a local gang with connections to organized crime in New England and Philadelphia. Over the years, the FBI has focused on several individuals linked to the mob, including a member of the Boston Mafia, who was believed to have information about the artwork's whereabouts. Other suspects include the infamous Irish-American crime lord Whitey Bulger, who some believe organized the theft to support Irish causes. While some have speculated that one of the night guards himself was in on the heist, the FBI found him to be too buffoonish to be in on such a sophisticated operation. Despite extensive efforts and significant financial rewards being offered, no conclusive evidence has surfaced to recover the artworks. Further, the key suspects have since passed away, without revealing any definitive clues as to the whereabouts of the art, if they were indeed involved. Notably, the empty frames in the museum continue to hang as placeholders for the missing pieces, symbolizing the hope of their eventual return. The case remains open, with the FBI actively investigating the heist, though at present, given the passage of time, resolution seems unlikely. The Sajama Lines. The Sajama Lines, located in the vast highlands of western Bolivia, are a captivating network of thousands of straight paths carved into the earth, covering an area of nearly 10,000 square miles. These ancient lines, visible only from the air, have been the subject of intrigue and speculation due to their size and precision. Historically, the origins of the Sajama Lines remain a mystery. While they are believed to have been created by indigenous peoples living near the Sajama volcano over 3,000 years ago, the exact purpose of these geoglyphs is still not fully understood. Unlike the Nazca lines in Peru, which include depictions of animals and other figures, the Sajama lines primarily consist of straightforward paths and geometric shapes. This has led to various interpretations of their use and significance. One theory suggests that the lines served astronomical purposes. It is believed that these lines may have been used to mark celestial events like solstices and equinoxes, helping ancient peoples to understand and predict seasonal changes critical for agricultural practices. This astronomical alignment suggests a sophisticated knowledge of the stars and the cosmos, which was common in many ancient civilizations. Another prevailing theory is that the lines had a spiritual or ritualistic function. This is supported by the presence of shrines and burial towers along the routes, indicating their use in religious ceremonies or pilgrimages. These sacred journeys might have connected various cultural sites across the harsh landscape, creating a network of paths that held both symbolic and practical significance. Moreover, some scholars propose that the lines might have simply been practical in nature, possibly serving as guides for navigation across the high plateau. The lines connecting different villages, shrines, and water sources would have been crucial for the survival and intercommunication of various communities in such a remote and challenging environment. Recent efforts to preserve the Sajama lines include detailed mapping and analysis using geographic information systems. Others have speculated that these lines were either made as a means to communicate with extraterrestrial beings, or made by these beings themselves. Despite these efforts, much about the Sajama lines remains a puzzle, mirroring the broader challenges of understanding prehistoric human practices and their interaction with the environment. The Quinkana. Have you ever heard the phrase, "everything in Australia is out to get you"? Well, it turns out that was true in the prehistoric era as well. The Quinkana is an extinct species of crocodile that inhabited Australia from the late Oligocene to the late Pleistocene era, approximately 24 million to 40,000 years ago. These creatures are differentiated notably from modern crocodilians by several distinct physical and behavioral traits. Named after mythical beings from Aboriginal Australian folklore, the Quinkana was characterized by long legs adapted for running on land. This suggests that this croc was a terrestrial predator rather than semi-aquatic, or largely aquatic like today's crocodiles. This adaptation likely allowed the Quinkana to chase down prey across the Australian landscapes, unlike its water-dwelling counterparts who rely on aquatic ambush techniques. Some evidence suggests that certain individuals could grow up to 6 meters, making it one of the largest predators in its environment. It remains unknown at present whether the Quinkana was fully terrestrial and completely adapted for life on land, or whether it was partly aquatic. However, the fossil record indicates a number of these creatures have been discovered in water-adjacent areas, suggesting they weren't entirely divorced from the watery homes of their ancestors. Some experts have suggested that the Quinkana was fully terrestrial and that competitive pressures from massive saltwater and freshwater crocodiles drove these creatures to potentially adopt this lifestyle. Further, the extinction of the Quinkana, like many other Australian megafauna, remains a subject of scientific debate. Its extinction correlates with the broader decline and disappearance of large vertebrates across Australia approximately 40,000 years ago. Some scientists speculate that this phenomenon was linked to a combination of changing climate conditions as well as the activities of a recently arrived species, human beings. The Pascagoula alien abduction. The Pascagoula alien abduction is a UFO encounter that occurred on the night of October 11, 1973. This incident involved Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, who reported being abducted by extraterrestrials while fishing along the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. On that evening, after finishing work at a local shipyard, Hickson, aged 42, and Parker, aged 19, decided to go fishing. The tranquility of their fishing trip was shattered when they heard a buzzing sound and witnessed an oval-shaped object with flashing blue lights hovering above the ground. According to their accounts, 3 creatures with robotic humanoid appearances emerged from the craft. Parker reportedly fainted due to the shock, and Hickson claimed that they were both floated aboard the craft by these beings. Inside the UFO, Hickson described being examined by a mechanical eye-like device, which seemed to scan his body. Parker later recounted similar experiences, though he had initially reported passing out. The entire ordeal lasted approximately 20 minutes, after which they were returned unharmed to their original location on the riverbank. No loss of time was reported, as is common in these sorts of events. Further, the description of the beings given in this event were not the standard gray aliens, or other such common alien archetypes. Immediately after the incident, Hickson and Parker sought help from local authorities. They first contacted Keesler Air Force Base and were redirected to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff, suspecting a hoax, secretly recorded their conversation, hoping to capture them confessing to a prank. However, the recording only captured their genuine distress and confusion about the event. The case quickly attracted widespread media attention and became a significant subject within UFO research circles. The Pascagoula incident is particularly notable because of the detailed physical descriptions of the abductors. Over the years, this incident has been subject to skepticism and numerous investigations. Some believe that this was a legitimate close encounter, citing others seeing strange lights in the area as proof of this. Some researchers suggest that the abduction experience could have been a case of hypnagogia, a psychological phenomenon involving hallucinations between wakefulness and sleep. Others, however, consider the emotional distress and consistency in Hickson and Parker's accounts as indicative of an actual extraterrestrial encounter. Others have speculated that Parker was suggestible and just went along with what Hickson experienced. Both men maintained their stories until their respective passings, with Parker appearing to be particularly distraught when describing the encounter in interviews. Further, Parker suffered mental health problems throughout his life, which he attributed to the uncanny nature of the experience. Whatever your view on UFOs and aliens, it's hard to conclude that these two didn't at least subjectively believe in their experience. The Kushtaka. The Kushtaka, often referred to as the Land Otter Man, is a central figure in the folklore of the Tlingit people of the Pacific Northwest coast. This creature is known for its shape-shifting abilities, commonly taking the form of an otter or human, and sometimes other animals, depending on the account. Notably, the true form of the creature appears to be unknown, with no agreement as to what it actually is. The legends describe Kushtakas as generally malevolent beings that lure people into danger. However, on occasion, they have been known to assist those lost in the wilderness. Historically, the Kushtaka tales served as cautionary stories, often told by mothers to their children to keep them away from the dangers of the wilderness and waterways. According to the legends, Kushtakas could mimic the cries of a baby or the screams of a woman to attract their victims. Contemporary accounts are rare, though they are still spotted on occasion. Further, given the spiritual and esoteric significance, it is unclear that sightings would be widely reported regardless. The Zone of Silence. In Mexico, the term Silent Zone is used to refer to the supposedly mysterious Mapimi Silent Zone. It measures only 50 kilometers across, and it is located in the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, a huge, mostly uninhabited expanse of almost 400,000 hectares. This region is known for its mysterious magnetic anomalies and supposed paranormal activity. The Zone of Silence was coined in 1966 when an oil company expedition encountered issues with radio communications in the area. Faced with these persistent issues during the expedition, the leader of the expedition is said to have dubbed the area the Zone of Silence. However, it gained significantly more international attention due to an event in July 1970. An Athena test rocket launched from the Green River Launch Complex in Utah towards the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico lost control and crashed in the area. The U.S. Air Force conducted an extensive recovery operation, which some believe was actually cover for investigating the Zone of Silence. According to the lore, the Zone of Silence encounters these radio frequency problems due to extraterrestrial activity in the area. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate how many of you have come to enjoy my content. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube member Jordan All. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 36 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, and more. The Winchester Mystery House. The Winchester Mystery House, a sprawling architectural marvel in San Jose, California, is famed for its strange construction and haunting legacy. This 160-room mansion was the brainchild of Sarah Winchester, widow of William Wirt Winchester, treasurer of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, and son of Oliver Winchester, the founder. After inheriting a vast fortune following her husband's death in 1881, Sarah embarked on a continuous construction project that would consume the last 38 years of her life. The origins of the house date back to 1884, when Sarah purchased an 8-room farmhouse in California's Santa Clara Valley. Driven by either the advice of a psychic or her own whims, she transformed this somewhat modest start into a labyrinthine mansion without the help of an architect. This resulted in a structure with doors that lead to brick walls and staircases that go nowhere, amongst numerous other oddities. So perhaps she should have retained an architect, but if she did, the house would be one of thousands of others like it, rather than what it became famed for. The house features numerous innovations and luxuries rare for its time, including multiple kitchens, indoor plumbing, and a sophisticated gas lighting system. And I mean that in a literal sense, though the unusual nature of the house also means that it is probably figuratively gaslighting everyone who enters it as well. Among its more curious aspects are the staircases leading directly into ceilings and windows that open into other rooms, all built under Sarah's meticulous direction. Much of the lore surrounding the Winchester Mystery House stems from Sarah's belief that she was haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. Urban legends indicate that Sarah would conduct seances on a nightly basis in an attempt to commune with these vengeful spirits. However, it is unclear if this was actually the case. This belief in these angry ghosts supposedly led her to continue the house's construction incessantly, as stopping would mean her own demise. She even incorporated the number 13 into many parts of the house, which added to its mystique and further fueled tales of its haunting. The mystery deepened after Sarah's death in 1922, when no mention of the mansion was found in her will. Her belongings were auctioned off, and the house was quickly deemed worthless due to its bizarre design and structural damage from an earthquake. However, just 5 months later, it was opened to the public, attracting those fascinated by its legends and architectural oddities. Today, the Winchester Mystery House stands not only as a monument to its eccentric owner, but also as a testament to the mysteries and legends that continue to draw millions of visitors. Notably, numerous visitors and staff have also reported paranormal experiences while in the Winchester Mystery House. A number of theories have been proposed to explain these phenomena. Some posit that there are ghostly forces at play in the mansion, citing numerous accounts over the course of nearly 100 years. Others theorize that confirmation bias could explain these unusual encounters, given that people who explore the mansion are more likely to be believers in ghosts than the general population. And for those unaware, confirmation bias is the theory that people favor information which aligns with their worldview. Another school of thought suggests that there is a localized mass hysteria surrounding the Winchester Mystery House. Individuals entering the house may interpret otherwise normal interactions as unusual or paranormal, when they may not have done so under normal circumstances. To illustrate this point, we've all heard loud and unexplained creaks in houses before, and under normal circumstances, these are written off as nothing. However, if you're in the Winchester Mystery House, the overlay of localized mass hysteria could strongly color how you interpret such an event. Regardless of whether the location is haunted or not, it's an experience that is so significant that it draws tourists from around the world. Porphyrios. This is a suggestion by Discord community member Black Rabbit. Porphyrios, a name that instilled dread among the Byzantine sailors of the 6th century, refers to a colossal whale infamous for its ship-sinking exploits in the waters around Constantinople. This creature, active for over 5 decades, captured the imagination and concern of Emperor Justinian I, who prioritized its capture or destruction to ensure the safety of maritime routes. The origins of the name Porphyrios remain a topic of speculation. Some suggest it might relate to the Greek or Roman Byzantine lore, possibly linked to divine or giant figures. Alternatively, it could derive from the Greek word for purple, reflecting the perceived color of the whale, or as reference to the creature as an emperor amongst whales. Notably, the color purple was associated with the Byzantine imperial household, lending credence to this idea. As an amusing aside, if the purple hypothesis is correct, some scholars suggest that Porphyrios is accurately translated as Purple Boy. I'm not quite sure why, but there's something so inherently funny about giving a massive terror whale a cute name like Purple Boy. The exact species of Porphyrios is also debated, with some historians suggesting it might have been a sperm whale due to its size and lifespan. Others porpoise it could have been an unusually large orca, a species more likely to be found in the region's waters. That said, both sorts of creatures are found throughout the eastern Mediterranean. The whale's activities were so disruptive that they became a significant legend in the historical narrative of the Byzantine Empire. According to the primary historical accounts from Procopius, Porphyrios was a relentless force in the seas, known to attack not only merchant and fishing vessels, but also warships. This persistent threat led to an array of speculative and sometimes mystical explanations for its behavior and even its very existence. The end of Porphyrios was as dramatic as its life. After a prolonged period of terror, the whale ran aground near the mouth of the Black Sea while chasing dolphins. Despite the efforts of the locals armed with axes and ropes, the whale was not immediately subdued. It was eventually cut into pieces after a significant struggle with the locals. Though Purple Boy may have been a terror, it's sad to see him go in such a way. Also, notably, this unintentional beaching has been cited as further evidence that Porphyrios was indeed a sperm whale. This event was recorded with a blend of relief and triumph by the local populace, who had long lived in the shadow of this aggressive creature. Notably, Porphyrios has cast a long shadow across human culture as a whole. Perhaps most importantly to our context, Porphyrios is mentioned in Herman Melville's great American classic about a similarly aggressive whale. Also, if there's a lesson here for any whales in the audience, it seems that only poorly behaved whales make the history books. The Golden Rock. One of Myanmar's most fascinating landmarks is the Golden Rock, also known as Kayak Tayo Pagoda. This iconic site, perched precariously on the edge of a cliff in Mon State, is a testament to both natural wonder and profound spirituality. The Golden Rock is a spectacle of geological and religious significance that dates back thousands of years. According to local legend, the rock maintains its delicate balance due to a single strand of the Buddha's hair, enshrined within the pagoda atop the rock. This strand was supposedly given to a hermit by the Buddha himself, who then passed it to King Tissa, a local ruler in the region at the time. The king found a boulder that resembled the hermit's head and placed the pagoda on it to house the sacred relic. This historical intertwining of nature and divinity gives the site its revered status among Buddhists, with the site being a major pilgrimage destination. Geologically, the Golden Rock is a large granite boulder that appears to defy gravity. Granite, known for its durability and beauty, typically forms from slowly cooled magma deep within the Earth's crust. Over millennia, natural forces such as erosion and tectonic activity sculpted the surrounding landscape, eventually leaving the boulder teetering dramatically on the edge of the cliff. The exact reasons behind its precarious positioning remains a topic of fascination for geologists. Geologists have attempted to find some sort of naturalistic explanation for this wonder, but as yet there is no clear indication why the rock is placed as it is. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. My goal is to make the most extensive Iceberg series in YouTube history, and I want you along for the ride. Also, be sure to check out the Discord server if you're into that sort of thing. We're closing in on 100 members now. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents a month. Captain Ginyu's true form. Captain Ginyu, the leader of the Ginyu force in the Dragon Ball series, is well known for his body change ability, which allows him to swap bodies with others. This unique skill has led to much speculation about his original form, and whether the form known to fans is indeed his true, original body. The body change technique is not only a pivotal aspect of Ginyu's character, but also a cornerstone of his interactions in the series. It allows him to take over the body of any being, gaining their strengths and abilities while they inherit his body. The new body retains the power level and skills of its original owner, not Ginyu's original capabilities. The question of Ginyu's true form is intriguing because it raises the possibility that what viewers see might not be his original body at all. This ambiguity is rooted in the nature of his body change ability, which he has likely used numerous times. It's theorized that Ginyu may have swapped bodies multiple times to gain strategic advantages or to survive perilous situations. This theory is bolstered by his own associates being unclear as to what his original form is or was. Further, as seen during the Frieza saga, Captain Ginyu does not have the ability to simply transform back into his old body. The body swap ability is a complete and permanent swap if successfully pulled off. According to a non-canonical drawing by Toyotaro, the chosen successor of the creator of the series, Akira Toriyama, rest in paradise, Captain Ginyu was actually not originally a purple-horned creature. Rather, Ginyu encountered an extremely strong alien of this species and performed his famous body change technique on the creature. Notably, however, Akira Toriyama never officially commented on Captain Ginyu's original form, and even the non-canonical drawing does not indicate what Ginyu's previous form actually was. For now, the true original form of Captain Ginyu remains a mystery, with all attempts to explain his original form being entirely speculative in nature. Last Thursdayism. Last Thursdayism is a provocative philosophical argument that challenges our perceptions of reality and the universe's age. This thought experiment suggests that the universe, along with all evidence of historical events and personal memories, might have been created as recently as last Thursday. The underlying implication of this idea is a critique of empirical certainty in historical and cosmological sciences. The origins of last Thursdayism are closely tied to a broader philosophical debate surrounding the credibility and interpretation of scientific and religious accounts of the universe's origins. Critics of last Thursdayism argue that it is unfalsifiable and unverifiable, meaning it cannot be proven or disproven by scientific methods. This characteristic aligns it with other philosophical skeptics' ideas, like Bertrand Russell's 5-minute hypothesis. This posits that the universe could have been created 5 minutes ago, complete with preformed memories and historical evidence. Of course, you cannot disprove such a theory, as any evidence you have against it is supported by the fact that all memories and evidence were already preformed with the universe. Last Thursdayism serves as a modern philosophical tool to question the epistemological foundations of our understanding of the universe. It prompts a deeper reflection on how we interpret and validate knowledge and the inherent assumptions underlying scientific methods. The hypothesis, by design, leads to discussions about the nature of truth, observation, and the limits of scientific inquiry. It encourages a skeptical viewpoint on the absoluteness of empirical evidence, suggesting that such evidence could be as much a construct of specific assumptions as it is a reflection of an external reality. In essence, last Thursdayism isn't just the idea that the universe started last Thursday. It's a gateway into questioning deeper philosophical and existential dilemmas about reality, knowledge, and belief systems. The Chatham County Blood Shower. This is an obscure and interesting suggestion from Discord community member Shay. Remember, if you have a recommendation for the series, please consider joining the Discord server or leaving a comment below. On February 25, 1884, an extraordinary natural phenomenon occurred in Chatham County, North Carolina, known as the Blood Shower. Mrs. Kit Lassiter, a resident of New Hope Township, experienced what seemed like a sudden downpour, only to discover that it was not water, but blood that had fallen. This unsettling event left the ground and surrounding vegetation covered in what appeared to be blood over an area of approximately 60 feet in circumference. Witnesses, including neighbors who visited the site after hearing Mrs. Lassiter's account, confirmed the strange occurrence. The substance, collected for analysis, was sent to Dr. F.P. Venable, a professor at the University of North Carolina. The tests conducted by Venable mostly confirmed the substance as blood, yet no definitive explanation could be offered for this bizarre event. Of course, advanced testing was not available at the time to determine what the source of the blood was. Notably, at the time that the blood shower occurred, it was not possible to determine anything beyond the fact that the substance was indeed organic in nature. What species the blood came from could also not be determined at the time. Notably, the incident was thoroughly documented in contemporaneous scientific journals, as well as in local newspapers at the time. One possible explanation for phenomena like the blood shower could be related to environmental or meteorological conditions. For instance, strong updrafts and thunderstorms are known to lift small animals, like frogs or fish, into the air and then drop them miles away. A similar mechanism might theoretically lift blood or blood-like substances into the air as well. Another theory is that water spouts, which can pick up substances and mix them with rain, creating the appearance of blood, were responsible. Additionally, certain types of red algae or dust could be swept up and then fall with rain, giving a blood-like appearance upon deposition. These hypotheses, while plausible, often require very specific circumstances and remain largely speculative in the present case. Further, while the case was properly investigated scientifically at the time, the right investigative tools simply did not exist yet. Did Ivan the Terrible really slay his son? The historical narrative surrounding Ivan the Terrible and the demise of his son, Ivan Ivanovich, is steeped in drama and tragedy. This event has achieved wider appeal due to cultural depictions like Ilya Repin's famous painting depicting the aftermath. Notably, Ivan's common nickname, the Terrible, does not speak to his abilities as a ruler, but his ability to inspire awe and fear in his enemies. Recent scholarly discourse and analysis suggest that the well-known tale of Ivan causing his son's demise in a fit of rage may not align with historical facts. Ivan the Terrible was the first Tsar of all Russia, and his reign was marked by considerable expansion and autocratic control, but also by notorious brutality. The incident involving his son Ivan in 1581 is one of the most tragic episodes associated with his reign. Traditional accounts, influenced heavily by Ilya Repin's artwork, depict a grief-stricken Ivan immediately after he had allegedly struck his son, leading to the young man's injury. According to this account, Ivan struck his son in the head with a scepter. However, this account has been challenged by historians who argue that it might have been more myth than reality. For instance, some historians point out that there were no contemporary records accusing Ivan the Terrible of his son's fatal outcome. Instead, it was noted that Ivan Ivanovich suffered from an illness or poisoning given the high levels of mercury found in the exhumed remains of the family. This suggests a possible accidental poisoning rather than a violent altercation. Further adding to the skepticism, the dramatic narrative of the Tsar causing his son's fatal injury may have served Ivan's political enemies. And by political enemies, I mean the House of Romanov, who took over the governance of Russia after the times of trouble. Portraying Ivan the Terrible as a madman who slew his heir may have served the Romanovs in establishing why they were the rightful rulers of Russia versus a descendant of Rurik. By way of footnote, the Rurikid princes had served as the rulers of Russia since the 9th century, and as such were viewed as rightful and legitimate rulers. The theory that Ivan caused his son's fatal injury does not align well with his known plans for Ivan Ivanovich, whom he was preparing as his successor. At the time of the alleged incident, Ivan had already bestowed significant military and political responsibilities upon his son. The absence of direct contemporary evidence and the presence of alternative explanations open the door to revisiting and revising our understanding of this historical event. That said, it is still generally accepted that Ivan the Terrible was the responsible party, though the historical consensus is not what it was even a few decades ago. Notably, the death of this apparently competent heir led to Ivan's simple-minded son, Fyodor, coming to the Russian throne following the passing of Ivan the Terrible. This would spell the end of the famous Rurik dynasty, descendants of the Viking adventurers who founded the earliest Russian states. Further, it would also plunge Russia into a horrific period of carnage known as the Times of Trouble. And trust me, there are some unsolved mysteries from that period that will be covered later. And by way of foreshadowing, let's just say that Ivan the Terrible had a lot of people who claimed to be his son, with varying degrees of success. The Kodama. Kodama, the mystical tree spirits of Japanese folklore, have captivated the imaginations of many through their deep-rooted connections to nature. These spirits are believed to inhabit ancient trees, acting as guardians of the forests. They are a part of a broader class of spirits known as yokai, which encompasses a variety of supernatural creatures in Japanese mythology. The earliest mentions of Kodama can be traced back to Japan's Heian period, around the 10th century. These spirits were initially described in texts like the Tale of Genji, where they were depicted as tree-dwelling entities with significant mystical importance. Kodama are deeply intertwined with the trees they inhabit. Legend has it that each Kodama is linked to a particular tree, often the oldest within a forest, and their fate is tied directly to their respective tree's well-being. If the tree perishes, so does the Kodama, and vice versa. This connection highlights a symbiotic relationship, emphasizing the interconnectedness of life and the environment. One of the most intriguing aspects of Kodama is their ability to generate sounds associated with the forest, such as echoes in the valleys and mountains, which are sometimes thought to be their voices. In times past, the sounds of the forest, particularly the echoes and the noise made by falling trees, were believed to be manifestations of Kodama. In Japanese culture, it is considered unlucky to cut down a tree housing a Kodama. This belief has led to specific practices like the Shimenawa, a sacred rope tied around trees believed to be inhabited by Kodama, marking them as protected. This practice underscores the reverential approach the Japanese have towards nature, particularly ancient forests and their spiritual inhabitants. Notably, this is likely a function of the animistic beliefs that are pervasive in Japan, due to Shinto religious and cultural heritage. Furthermore, Kodama are not only protectors of individual trees, but of entire forests. They are believed to ensure the health of the forests, and by extension, play a role in the ecological balance of their environments. This protective role is complemented by their reputed supernatural powers, which include the ability to inflict harm on those who threaten their domain. However, when respected and honored, Kodama can also be benevolent guardians, also extending their protection to human communities. Over the years, the lore of Kodama has been woven into various aspects of popular culture, from literature to films and video games. Notably, they feature prominently in the Studio Ghibli film Princess Mononoke, where their enigmatic presence is felt through large portions of the movie. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate how many of you have come to enjoy my content. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z-Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube member Jordan All. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 37 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, and more. The Man in the Iron Mask. The Man in the Iron Mask remains one of history's most enigmatic figures. Even centuries later, his true identity and the reasons for his prolonged imprisonment continue to captivate scholars and the public alike. The Man in the Iron Mask was an unidentified prisoner held in various jails, including the famous Bastille. His story is intricately tied to the reign of King Louis XIV of France, under whose orders he was detained. The earliest records date the prisoner's confinement to July 1669, initially under the pseudonym Eustache Doger. He was held in custody for 34 years with no contact whatsoever with the outside world aside from his jailer. He was also closely guarded by the same jailer throughout the entire 34 years, with his jailer moving with him from prison to prison. The Man in the Iron Mask ended up passing away in captivity in 1703, and speculation about his identity has only grown since. The prisoner was known for the mask he reputedly wore, popularized as being made out of iron. Contrary to popular legend, historical accounts suggest it was more likely made of black velvet, less dramatic, but equally effective at concealing the prisoner's identity. The conditions of the Man in the Iron Mask's imprisonment were designed to ensure total isolation. Historical documents indicate that he was moved several times between various prisons. The cells were specially modified to prevent eavesdropping, with multiple layers of doors to seal off any sound. Reports indicate he was well treated and wore fine clothes, suggesting his high status or the importance of the secrets he held. The severe restrictions placed upon him, including threats against speaking and isolation from other prisoners, suggest his keepers believed he held secrets that could potentially threaten the French state. However, given this, it is unclear why he wasn't simply eliminated, again suggesting some further importance to this man. Contemporary documents surfaced during the 19th century and included some of the correspondence between the jailer and his superiors. In these documents, the prisoner had been labeled, quote, only a valet, shortly after his arrest, and that he was jailed for what he had seen, what he knew, and what he was employed to do before his arrest. After his death, his cell was immediately stripped and whitewashed, and his belongings were destroyed, steps taken to ensure that his identity would remain hidden forever. The identity of the Man in the Iron Mask has spurred numerous theories. One prevailing theory posits he was an Italian count and diplomat named Mattiole, who was involved in intricate diplomatic negotiations with Louis XIV. According to this theory, this Italian diplomat double-crossed Louis, leading to the diplomat's arrest. His identity closely matches that of the man buried under the name Marchioli, leading some to speculate that the Italian count and the man in the iron mask were one and the same. However, the count's alleged passing date is 10 years prior to that of the man in the iron mask. Further, I would suspect, if this was the case, the disappearance of the diplomat would have caused a significant stir and complaints by his host state. However, this could potentially be explained by a highly secretive diplomatic mission, which all parties wished to keep under wraps. However, if this was the case, this diplomatic status may explain why the man in the iron mask was imprisoned for 34 years, rather than outright slain. Ending a diplomat has long been held to be in extremely poor form. Another popular candidate is the valet Eustache Dauger, arrested for reasons not fully documented, adding layers of mystery and speculation. And if this name sounds familiar, this was the presumed pseudonym under which the man in the iron mask was arrested. I suppose it would be some real 4D chess to issue an arrest warrant for someone by their actual name, and indicate that the name given in the warrant is actually a fake. Some historians speculate that the valet might have been involved in or privy to political scandals that required his permanent silence. This theory is supported by the specific instructions given to his jailer to prevent him from communicating with anyone except to express his immediate needs. However, this theory is weakened by the fact that if this had been the man's identity, he would have almost certainly been permanently silenced in another more obvious way. Voltaire and later Alexandre Dumas were instrumental in cementing the legend of the man in the iron mask, each adding their own speculative spins. Voltaire proposed theories that ranged from the prisoner being a twin brother of Louis XIV to a disgraced nobleman or a disgruntled governmental official. Alexandre Dumas also explored the idea that the man in the iron mask was the twin brother of Louis XIV and likely contributed more to the popularization of the case than anyone. Their accounts and the dramatic flair they employed ensured that the story endured through the centuries as a blend of fact and elaborate fiction. Another theory proposed in the 20th century indicates that the man in the iron mask was actually Louis XIV's father. Notably, at the time of his birth, Louis XIV's parents had been largely, though not totally, estranged for over a decade. While this hypothetical situation does potentially make sense on paper, everything about the theory is circumstantial at best and speculative at worst. However, if this theory was true, it makes sense why the individual's face was always covered, as perhaps he bore a resemblance to Louis XIV. Further, it would explain the reluctance to simply end the man, as Louis XIV was a deeply religious man, and there's a line or two in the Bible about respecting one's parents. The true story behind the man in the iron mask might never be fully uncovered due to the scant and often contradictory historical evidence. However, like some of the other most famous unsolved mysteries, it's this scant evidence that has led to centuries of rampant speculation and fascination. Also, thanks to community member Austin Lee for this suggestion. Remember to join the Discord or leave your suggestions in the comments below. The Phantom Barber of Pascagoula. In the midst of World War II, the small town of Pascagoula, Mississippi, became the backdrop for a series of bizarre and unsettling incidents that would later be attributed to an individual dubbed the Phantom Barber. The town, which had seen its population swell due to the wartime shipbuilding efforts, found itself grappling with a peculiar menace that targeted the hair of its young female residents. Also, If you've been following the series, you'll know that Pascagoula punches above its weight, with a significant alien abduction occurring there in the early 1970s. The Phantom Barber's activities began on a night in early June 1942, when he first struck at the Our Lady of Victory's convent, cutting locks of hair from two young girls. This initial intrusion set the pattern for subsequent events, where the assailant would cut window screens to enter homes and cut the hair of the occupants while they slept. The town's alarm heightened when these incidents were later accompanied by more violent attacks. This included one incident where a couple was assaulted in their home, escalating the community's fear. Notably, in this attack, there doesn't appear to have been any haircutting incident, which makes me question the relationship between the two cases. Local law enforcement, overwhelmed by the peculiar nature of these crimes, struggled to make headway in the investigation. The FBI was eventually called in, and the town increased its night patrols in a desperate bid to capture the elusive intruder. Amidst rampant speculation and fear, various theories circulated about the barber's motives, ranging from psychological disturbances to espionage-related activities. The case saw a significant development in August 1942 when William Dolan, a chemist known in the community, was arrested. Notably, Dolan had been educated in Germany and was suspected of having sympathies with the enemy cause. However, it's difficult to tell if he actually had these sympathies, given that all reports on him appeared to portray him as a weird, abrasive, and disliked individual. Curiously, locals at the time believed that these hair-chopping incidents were an effort to subvert national security, which seems quite suspect in retrospect and appears to suggest mass hysteria. Although charged and convicted for the attack involving the couple, Dolan was also suspected of being the Phantom Barber, largely due to the discovery of a bundle of hair near his house. Despite his conviction, doubts lingered about his involvement in all the incidents, and after serving part of his sentence, he was released following a lie detector test that he passed. I note that I was unable to find out whether he was ever formally exonerated for his crimes. Notably, some speculate that the Phantom Barber was much more of a phantom than one would initially believe reading the news articles. Under this theory, he was a figment of the imagination of the people of Pascagoula, brought on by the psychological stress of being at war. Further, it is notable that the town grew immensely during the war to accommodate shipbuilding, and as such, people were separated from their extended families, causing feelings of dislocation. Some have suggested that this was a perfect storm for mass hysteria to take hold in the town. The true motives and full identity of the Phantom Barber remain unsolved, leaving room for ongoing speculation and interest. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. Also, I release content very regularly, so I can't emphasize this enough. Ring the bell and turn on all notifications so you're never behind on this series. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents a month. Also, consider joining the Lazy Chill Zone Discord community. At present, we have nearly 100 people on board. The Overtoun Bridge Dog Mystery. The Overtoun Bridge, situated near Dumbarton, Scotland, has been associated with a deeply unsettling phenomenon involving dogs since the 1950s. Known colloquially as the Dog Self-Chosen Conclusion Bridge, it has reportedly been the site where numerous dogs have inexplicably leaped over the edge into the ravine below. And yeah, let's just say the locals aren't calling it the Dog Self-Chosen Conclusion Bridge, if you catch my drift. The structure itself, a Gothic-style bridge built in 1895 by architect H.E. Milner, spans the Overtoun Burn and was originally part of an extension to the driveway of Overtoun House, Overtoun House itself is strongly associated with paranormal activity, which gives the entire area a vibe of general spookiness. The bridge gained its sinister reputation in the latter half of the 20th century, when local residents began noticing an unusual pattern of dogs leaping or falling from the bridge. Over the years, various reports have estimated that hundreds of dogs have jumped, with some sustaining injuries and others meeting their end. The incidents have led to widespread media coverage and have sparked a mix of theories ranging from the scientific to the supernatural. One prevalent theory suggests a natural explanation involving the acute olfactory senses of dogs, or to put it in non-scientific terms, dogs are strong sniffers. Researchers propose that the presence of strong scents from minks or other wildlife in the area may lure dogs to leap off the bridge. The bridge's structure, which can make the drop seem less steep than it actually is, might also contribute to the confusion for the animals. The sloping nature of the side of the bridge may form an optical illusion to dogs, wherein they believe they can continue running down the side. On the other hand, supernatural explanations have also been widely circulated and are favored by many dog bridge theorists. These include the presence of the White Lady of Overtoun, a ghostly figure said to haunt the bridge and the surrounding estate, which some believe influences the dog's behavior. This figure is allegedly the spirit of Grace Eliza McClure, the widow of the bridge's creator, who has been said to roam the area since her husband's passing in 1921. Despite these theories, there is a significant amount of skepticism regarding the notion of dogs deliberately causing their own demise. Many experts dismiss the idea as a misunderstanding of canine behavior, suggesting that dogs don't have the capacity to end themselves on a consensual basis. However, anyone who has been around a variety of dogs knows that they do feel a wide range of emotions, and they all have very different personalities. Therefore, I would question any expert who categorically denies the possibility of a dog committing such an act intentionally. Some skeptics dismiss the entire thing as an urban legend, suggesting that the bridge is not routinely used by dogs for this purpose. However, this discounts well-documented recent accounts, and as such, this cannot be dismissed as a simple urban legend. In 2004, a family and their golden retriever were walking across when the pupper unexpectedly sprinted and leaped off the bridge. While the dog sustained moderate injuries, it did thankfully survive the fall. Over the next 6 months, a well-documented pattern emerged with at least 5 more dogs jumping off the bridge. In 2014, a Springer Spaniel suddenly acted out of character and jumped off the bridge after staring intently at something unseen above it. Why dogs choose to commit this act at this specific bridge, if they do choose it at all, remains unknown, and all possibilities remain on the table. I would suggest that for the purposes of protecting the pupperinos, they should be restricted from crossing the bridge. The short-faced bear. The giant short-faced bear, often known by its scientific name, Arctodus simus, stands as one of the most intriguing and formidable predators of North America's Pleistocene epoch. This period spanned from about 2.5 million years ago to 11,000 years ago. This bear was notable for its incredible size and speed, distinguishing it from the modern bears we are familiar with today. The Arctodus simus was one of the largest land carnivores in Pleistocene North America, with some males weighing between 1,600 to 2,500 pounds and standing up to 12 feet tall on their hind legs. Unlike today's bears, which have a more rounded foot, the short-faced bear had feet with toes that pointed straight forward, allowing for a fast and efficient gait. It is estimated that these bears could run at speeds exceeding 40 miles per hour, making them not only massive but also incredibly fast. For reference, this is about 2/3 the speed of a cheetah, on a predator that weighed up to 20 times what a cheetah weighs. Their diet predominantly consisted of meat, as indicated by their physical adaptations. Simply put, the giant short-faced bear wasn't stuffing its face with fish heads, sedge grass, blueberries, and the contents of picnic baskets like its modern cousins. They possessed a large, broad snout with huge nasal passages, likely helping them to have a keen sense of smell to detect food sources. The structure of their jaws and teeth suggests a strong capability for biting and crushing, useful for consuming large prey or scavenging on carcasses left by other predators. Notably, the giant short-faced bear is speculated to have incredibly dense bones, further contributing to its incredible power. This all begs the question, why did the giant short-faced bear, an apex predator of virtually unequaled power, end up going extinct while lesser Bruins thrived? The extinction of this majestic terror around 13,000 years ago is still not fully understood, but appears to have been influenced by a toxic combination of factors. The decline in large prey species, changes in habitat due to climatic shifts, and increased competition from other carnivores, including early humans, likely contributed to their disappearance. This extinction coincided with broader megafaunal extinctions at the end of the Pleistocene. Notably, some claim that certain bear cryptids, like the Bergman's bear and the McFarlane's bear, are actually relict populations of this monster bear. Make sure to subscribe, as I will be covering these exciting bear cryptids in upcoming entries in this series. The mechanics of Brontosaurus reproduction. The reproductive behaviors and mechanisms of Brontosaurus, a genus of large herbivorous sauropod dinosaurs from the late Jurassic period, are subjects of much scientific speculation. Brontosaurus, like many other dinosaurs, is thought to have used internal fertilization to reproduce. This is inferred from the anatomy of current avian and reptilian species, which share evolutionary traits with dinosaurs. The size and weight of Brontosaurus pose intriguing questions about their bedroom habits. The physical logistics of reproduction for such enormous creatures have led to hypotheses that they might have facilitated their extracurricular activities in pools, supporting their weight and facilitating easier movement. However, this is purely speculative, as no direct evidence of aquatic mating behavior exists. Also, if there's anyone in the audience with an academic background in paleontology, please let me know in the comments below what cutting-edge theories on this are in the scholarly world. The Falling Birds of Beebe. On New Year's Eve of 2010, the small town of Beebe, Arkansas experienced a startling phenomenon. Approximately 5,000 red-winged blackbirds fell from the sky, creating a confusing scenario for both residents and scientists. This event attracted global attention due to its unusual nature and the startling sight of numerous birds found lifeless in the town. The immediate aftermath saw the local community and authorities quickly mobilizing to clear the birds from public spaces. Analysis by several state and national laboratories, including the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission and the National Wildlife Health Center, concluded that the birds suffered from blunt force trauma. This was attributed to collisions with hard surfaces as a result of a sudden mass exodus from their roost. Experts suggested that loud noises, likely from New Year's Eve fireworks, startled the birds, causing them to fly atypically low and thus collide with various objects. This incident is not isolated in its occurrence, yet its reasons are somewhat distinct. Similar events have happened due to various natural and man-made factors, like weather conditions or loud noises. However, what makes Beebe's event notable is the combination of the bird's poor night vision and the likely unexpected disruption caused by fireworks. Typically, blackbirds roost at night and are not adept at navigating in darkness, which compounded the tragic outcome of that evening. Despite thorough investigations, some uncertainties remain regarding what exactly triggered the birds to take flight that fatal evening. This has led to numerous theories, both scientific and otherwise. While the predominant explanation involves the reaction to loud noises, other incidents of large bird fatalities have been linked to natural occurrences like lightning or hail. Interestingly, others speculated that the mass passing of so many birds was a supernatural or divine event, which likely foretold coming problems, and this does have significant historical precedent. In ancient Rome, augurs were priestly officials whose role was critical in guiding the public and private decision-making of the state and its leaders. These religious specialists interpreted the will of the gods by observing natural signs, particularly the behavior of birds, known as taking the auspices. The auspices involved scrutinizing birds' flights, eating patterns, general health, and singing. Depending on how the birds were doing, observations could determine the favorability of undertaking various actions, such as battles, legislation, or the founding of cities. Anyway, I'm no expert on augury, but I suspect a massive heap of formerly living birds littering the streets likely foreshadows a, quote, black swan event. Pardon the wordplay. Also, if fireworks were actually the cause of this event, wouldn't these birds be perishing en masse every 4th of July and every New Year's Eve? The BB event, though clarified to an extent by official investigations, continues to be a subject of curiosity and speculation. The Omukade. Big shout out to community member Austin Lee for this interesting yokai suggestion. The Omukade, a term which translates to giant centipede in Japanese, occupies a fascinating niche within the realm of yokai, or supernatural creatures, in Japanese folklore. This creature is depicted as a mammoth centipede, so vast it could encircle mountains, manifesting the Japanese cultural propensity to blend natural elements with supernatural mystique. Historically, the Omukade was known for its ferocity and formidable size, capable of preying on humans and even dragons, which places it among the most fearsome of yokai. Interestingly, despite its fearsome reputation and strength, the Omukade has a peculiar weakness to human saliva. Its Achilles heel, so to speak. One legendary account involving the Omukade tells of the hero Fujiwara no Hidesato. According to folklore, Hidesato slew a giant Omukade near Lake Biwa, saving the local populace from the terror inflicted by the creature. Notably, the creature's vulnerability to human saliva played a pivotal role in its defeat by Hidesato. Hidesato coated his arrows in his own saliva, significantly weakening this mighty beast to the point that a human could take it down. Make sure to ding that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Ice Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z-Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube member Jordan All. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 38 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell since I drop new content all the time. The Disappearance of Louis Le Prince. Louis Le Prince, a French inventor and early pioneer in motion picture technology, mysteriously disappeared in 1890. He is believed to be the first individual to capture a moving picture sequence with a single-lens camera on paper film. Often hailed as the father of cinematography, his contributions, however, did not significantly impact the commercial evolution of cinema due to the circumstances of his disappearance. known for creating the world's first moving pictures, Le Prince was set to showcase his invention in a public demonstration in the United States. However, he vanished without a trace while en route from France to England, leaving behind a legacy entangled in enigma and speculation. In September 1890, he was preparing to travel to the United Kingdom from Dijon, France, after visiting his brother. He boarded a train bound for Paris on September 16, 1890, but he never arrived. His belongings and luggage were also missing, and no one reported seeing him exit the train. No conclusive evidence was found on the train, and extensive searches proved fruitless. The lack of physical evidence has fueled various theories about what might have happened to Le Prince. One prevailing theory suggests that Le Prince was removed by competitors in the burgeoning field of motion pictures. At the time, Thomas Edison was also developing motion picture technology, and some believe that commercial rivalry could have led to foul play to eliminate Le Prince from the scene. Notably, there is absolutely no concrete evidence to indicate that this occurred. Another theory considers Le Prince's financial difficulties as a potential reason for his disappearance. It's speculated that he might have staged his own disappearance to start anew or escape financial pressure and significant debts. However, his family refuted these claims, noting his excitement about his impending demonstration in America. A more personal theory involves family dynamics, particularly concerning his wife's brother, who was reported to have had severe financial difficulties. Some speculate that family disputes related to inheritance or financial support could have influenced events leading to his disappearance, with his wife's brother ending him. His wife spent the rest of her life trying to solve the mystery and defend his legacy against claims made by other inventors, particularly Edison, who later claimed to have invented the motion picture camera. In 1898, Le Prince was officially declared deceased by the French police, although his body was never found. The lack of any clear evidence in this case, as well as the importance of Le Prince's work, will likely lead to further centuries of speculation as to what happened to him. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. The Pied Piper of Hamelin is a legend steeped in history, originating from the German town of Hamelin around the late 13th century. This tale has captivated imaginations for centuries, blending historical records with folklore and leaving many to ponder its truths and origins. Historically, the earliest references to the Pied Piper story appear in the town records of Hamelin itself. Notably, a record from 1384 mentions, ominously, that it had been a century since our children left. This event coincides with a since-destroyed stained glass window in Hamelin's church, which depicted a colorful piper leading away a group of children. This suggests the story's deep roots in the town's collective memory. The legend, as most know it today, tells of a piper, dressed in pied clothing, who was hired by the townspeople to rid their town of a rat infestation using his magical flute. Upon the mayor's failure to pay for his services, the piper returned, this time luring their children away instead of rats, leading them to a mysterious fate. According to the legend, over 100 children followed him out of town and into a cave, after which they were never seen again. In some versions of the story, 3 children did not leave with the Pied Piper due to their various disabilities. These disabled children were able to inform the townspeople who were at the church during the incident. It is said that Bungalowsenstrasse, which translates to street without drums, is the last known location of the children seen with the Pied Piper in Hamelin. It's a place where playing music or dancing has been prohibited ever since, due to the association with the missing children. Over time, various interpretations and theories have emerged about the deeper meanings and origins of the story. One such theory suggests that the story was a metaphor for the Ostsiedlung, the migration of people from towns like Hamelin to areas in Eastern Europe during the medieval period. In this interpretation, the Pied Piper symbolizes the recruiters who facilitated this migration. Others have proposed connections to historical events like the Black Plague, or even cultural phenomena such as Dancing Plague. Despite the varied interpretations, the core elements remain consistent. The Piper's betrayal by the townspeople, his eerie ability to lead children away with his music, and the haunting absence of the children thereafter. This tale has been adapted into numerous works of literature, music, and film, reflecting its enduring appeal and the human fascination with its dark themes. Further, references to the story have become so ingrained in our culture that the term "to pay the piper" has become ubiquitous in our language. Whether as a cautionary tale or a historical mystery, the Pied Piper of Hamelin remains a compelling story of loss and vengeance. Emergency Action Messages. Emergency Action Messages, also known as EAMs, are crucial elements within the United States military's strategic command and control infrastructure. They are specifically designed for directing nuclear-capable forces during nuclear scenarios. These pre-formatted messages are used to execute major attack options, known as MAOs, or limited attack options, known as LAOs, and are a critical component in the chain of nuclear command. Directives contained within EAMs must be followed without hesitation, ensuring that nuclear-capable forces like missile silos, submarines, and bombers can respond swiftly to national defense directives. EAMs are disseminated through the High-Frequency Global Communication System, known as the HFGCS, which employs various transmission sites globally to ensure wide-reaching capabilities. These messages are encoded with advanced cryptographic protocols to maintain security and authenticity, preventing unauthorized interception or tampering. The system allows for communication even if primary command centers are compromised, with alternate sites like the E-4B Nightwatch aircraft or E-6A Mercury aircraft taking over if necessary. Sky King messages, another critical type of communication within the HFGCS, are considered of even higher priority than regular EAMs. These are specific coded instructions that can interrupt ongoing EAMs to convey urgent orders. Their content is highly time-sensitive, underscoring their importance in operational contexts where immediate attention is required. The use of EAMs and Sky King messages is structured around specific times designated by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which dictate the timing of military operations. These operations can include the deployment of reconnaissance missions, the launching of nuclear missiles, and the coordination of strategic air commands across various global theaters. Notably, anyone can tune into these EAMs and Sky King messages, and an online community has grown around listening to and interpreting these messages. This activity in general becomes especially popular around times of significant global strife. To tune in to emergency action messages, enthusiasts use shortwave radios to access the high-frequency global communications system. Listening requires a shortwave radio capable of receiving these frequencies, and an environment with minimal radio frequency interference for clarity, though this can be done online as well. Conspiracy theories surrounding emergency action messages and Sky King messages often hinge on their secretive nature and critical role in nuclear command and control systems. These messages, which are highly classified and crucial for conveying nuclear commands, have sparked speculations that they could be used for purposes beyond their intended scope. The ambiguity about their full capabilities and the scenarios under which they would be used contributes to theories about hidden government agendas or cover-ups. Some believe these messages could coordinate undisclosed military operations or even connect to global surveillance issues. However, such claims lack concrete evidence and are not supported by verified information. Naturally, though, the use of encrypted, classified communication in military operations feeds into broader narratives of mistrust in government transparency and security practices. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. Also, I release content very regularly, so I can't emphasize this enough. Ring the bell and turn on all notifications so you're never behind on this series. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents. The UVB-76 broadcast. UVB-76, also known as the Buzzer, is a shortwave radio station that has fascinated listeners and conspiracy theorists since it was first identified in the late 1970s. Operating on a frequency of 4,625 kilohertz, the station emits a short, monotonous buzzing tone approximately 25 times per minute, 24 hours a day. This repetitive and inscrutable transmission is occasionally interrupted by voice messages in Russian. These Russian phrases often include strings of names, numbers, and words, sparking widespread speculation about their meaning and purpose. Historically, UVB-76 was first recorded in 1982, but it is believed to have been broadcasting since the late 1970s. Its signals originate from Russia, and over the years, the tones and formats of the broadcasts have varied slightly. These alterations have led to intense scrutiny and analysis by amateur radio enthusiasts and professional signal analysts worldwide, yet the station's true purpose remains unknown. The voice messages transmitted by UVB-76 are typically formatted in a specific structure that includes call signs and coded messages. These transmissions, although rare, are highly standardized and suggest a methodical purpose behind the broadcasts. Theories about the station's function range from military communication to conducting research on the ionosphere, yet no concrete evidence has substantiated any single explanation. Notably, the station's activities spiked in interest when unusual transmissions, including music from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake and other sounds, were broadcast in 2010, indicating a possible shift in the station's operation or purpose at that time. Theories regarding UVB-76's function include suggestions that it serves as a numbers station. This is a part of a network of similar radio stations used during the Cold War for transmitting encrypted messages to spies using one-time pads. This encryption method is virtually unbreakable if used correctly, adding a layer of intrigue to the already mysterious broadcasts. Additionally, the station's enduring operation, despite the availability of more modern communication technologies, suggests its continued relevance and importance to the parties operating it. Despite numerous attempts to uncover more about UVB-76, including expeditions to its suspected broadcasting locations, the station's operators and precise objectives remain unconfirmed. I suspect the true nature of this mysterious broadcast is known by intelligence officials, but of course they aren't talking. The Pikachu Tail Mandela Effect. The Pikachu Tail Mandela Effect refers to a widespread, allegedly false memory where many people recall the popular Pokemon character, Pikachu, having a black tip on its tail. This belief is part of a larger phenomenon known as the Mandela Effect, where a significant number of people share a memory that contradicts recorded facts or reality. Despite many fans remembering it, Pikachu's main design has never featured a black-tipped tail. Notably, this misconception includes not only casual observers, but also dedicated fans of the series. Pikachu, a central figure in the Pokemon universe, has consistently had a yellow tail with a brown base across all its appearances in games, anime, and other media. Its distinctive features include yellow fur, long ears with black tips, and 2 brown stripes on its back. The character's tail is shaped like a lightning bolt and does not have any black coloration, except in one specific non-canonical instance. The only exception to this design is the cosplay Pikachu, which appears in the Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games. This special variant of Pikachu, which is always female, features a heart-shaped black tip on its tail as part of its costume. However, this character was introduced in 2014, which is relatively recent compared to the inception of the Mandela effect regarding Pikachu's tail, which dates back earlier. Thus, cosplay Pikachu is not and cannot be the origin of the false memory. Several factors may contribute to the persistence of this false memory. Notably, Pikachu's baby form, Pichu, features a completely black tail, which might lead to some confusion as Pichu evolves into Pikachu. Additionally, Pikachu's black ear tips might reinforce the incorrect association with a similarly colored tail. Fan art and third-party merchandise, which often take liberties with character designs, could also spread and solidify this mistaken belief. In my view, most people likely had no opinion as to whether Pikachu's tail had a black tip prior to being presented with this question. When presented with the question, the power of suggestion works its magic, and the tail is suddenly remembered as having a black tip. Or maybe that's what I want you to think, since I'm not from the black tip tail Pikachu universe. The New Zealand Google Map cat. In October 2014, a figure appeared on Google Maps, capturing the attention of users worldwide. A giant cat etched into the landscape of Auckland, New Zealand. This peculiar addition, dubbed the Google Map cat, sparked widespread curiosity and debate over its origin and disappearance. The Google Maps cat was not just a standard feature, but appeared more as an anomaly within Google's typically structured mapping service. For the two of you out there who are unaware, Google Maps, known for its detailed satellite imagery and street views, has become a ubiquitous tool for navigation and exploration. However, the appearance of this cat was unusual because it seemed to involve a playful, yet unauthorized modification of the map itself. The cat was discovered on the map in the suburb of Hobson Bay, Auckland, and initially it seemed like it could have been an Easter egg, a hidden feature placed by developers for users to find. This notion was fueled by numerous previous instances where tech companies have included such elements in their products. However, Google quickly denied any involvement or knowledge of the feline figure, attributing it instead to external contributions and indicating an investigation into its appearance. Theories about the nature of the cat and the cat's creation ranged widely. One popular theory suggested that the image could have been created using Google Maps feature that allows users to draw and add hiking trails. If someone manipulated this feature creatively, they could potentially craft the cat's shape. However, this would require the coordinated effort of many users to pass the review and rating process typically required for such additions. Despite its brief appearance, the Google Maps cat became a minor viral phenomenon in 2014. It was eventually silently removed from Google Maps, with no indication as to how or why this mysterious map cat was created. The Bermeja Island Mystery. Bermeja Island, a supposed island, historically documented off the north coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, was marked on maps from as early as the 16th century. Curiously, it only vanished from geographic records in the late 20th century, leading to a wealth of speculation and conspiracies about its existence and disappearance. The history of Bermeja Island can be traced back to Spanish cartographers, with the earliest recorded mention in 1539 by Alonso de Santa Cruz in his catalogue of regional islands. The island appeared on maps sporadically over the centuries, described as having a reddish or blondish appearance, from which it derived its name, Bermeja, meaning reddish in Spanish. Despite its periodic appearances on maps, no physical evidence of its existence has ever been confirmed in modern times. Throughout history, Several other phantom islands like Bermeja have appeared in cartographic records, only to disappear later. And trust me, if you've been following along with this series, you know how much I love these quote phantom islands. These cases often reflect navigational errors, misinterpretations of natural phenomena, or outright myths. Modern technology, such as satellite imagery, has played a crucial role in debunking these geographic myths, providing more accurate mappings that omit these non-existent landforms. The mystery of Bermeja Island's disappearance has fueled various theories. Some suggest natural causes like ocean floor shifts or rising sea levels. Others entertain more sinister explanations, such as deliberate destruction by the U.S. to expand its exclusive economic zone for oil exploration advantages. The island's supposed location was crucial, as its existence would have extended Mexico's territory significantly in an oil-rich area of the Gulf of Mexico. This would have influenced international maritime boundaries and economic zones established by treaties such as the one from 1978 between the U.S. and Mexico. Notably, Mexico conducted several expeditions in the late 20th and early 21st centuries to locate the island, all of which failed to find any trace of this so-called island. These findings led to the conclusion by Mexican authorities that Bermeja Island never existed at the documented coordinates. This suggests either a cartographic error or a submerged landmass that had long since eroded or sunk. The Amakiri. The Amakiri, a lesser-known yokai from Japanese folklore, embodies the peculiar and intriguing nature of these supernatural entities. Literally translating to net cutter, the Amakiri is often depicted as a hybrid creature combining elements of a bird, snake, and lobster. It possesses sharp, scissor-like pincers, which it purportedly uses to slice through nets, be they fishing nets or mosquito nets. Historical references to the Amakiri are scant, but it is notably featured in Toriyama Sekien's Gazu Hyaki Yagyo, a classical Edo period compendium of yokai. Sekien's depiction doesn't accompany much explanatory text, suggesting that the creature might not have been widely recognized or deeply embedded in folklore prior to his work. Some speculate that the Amakiri, much like other yokai in Sekien's collections, was a product of the artist's imagination, possibly created as a humorous addition to yokai lore. Nevertheless, by the inclusion in this classic, the creature, even if it had no folklore precedent prior, took on a life of its own. Despite its seemingly trivial pursuit of cutting nets, the Amakiri's actions could be quite detrimental, particularly in a historical context where fishing nets were valuable for livelihoods. Further, mosquito nets were crucial for protection against disease-bearing insects. Such activities place the Amakiri in the broader category of yokai, known for causing minor to moderate disruptions and inconveniences. Belief in the Amakiri appears to have waned throughout the 19th century and early 20th century, with the creature now apparently having few, if any, true believers. I hypothesize that this is likely because of the diminished value of fishing in the Japanese economy as the country industrialized. Further, I also hypothesize that the complete eradication of malaria by the mid-20th century made the idea of a spirit that chops malaria nets more quaint than horrific. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate how many of you have come to enjoy my content. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z-Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube members Jordan All and Lowlife Baphomet. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 39 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Also, quick note, I'm back from a brief hiatus after my vehicle was stolen. I'll say this for the few who will get the reference. Insurance companies, not even once. The Bunny Man. The Bunny Man is an urban legend primarily stemming from incidents reported in Fairfax County, Virginia. This figure is often depicted as wearing a bunny costume and involved in unsavory activities. The first reported sighting occurred in 1970, when a couple encountered a man dressed in a rabbit costume who vehemently protested their presence, claiming they were trespassing. This individual reportedly threw a hatchet through the couple's car window, which was later recovered by the police. The actual hatchet involved in the original Bunny Man incident is still preserved and on display. A similar incident was reported 2 weeks later, involving another couple in the same area. The mysterious figure again appeared in a rabbit costume and purportedly attacked their parked car with an axe. Despite numerous police investigations, no one was ever apprehended, and the case remained unsolved. This lack of closure fueled local folklore, eventually giving rise to the broader Bunny Man legend. These initial incidents were documented in local newspapers, and as the story spread, it morphed into a broader and more sinister narrative. The urban legend gained national traction when the Washington Post began to report on the unusual occurrences. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Washington Post, it's a paper that is local to the area where the Bunny Man incident occurred. However, the Washington Post also has significant national and international reach, likely only behind the New York Times for American newspapers. Subsequent Bunny Man stories varied significantly, with some mentioning the Bunny Man wielding an axe and being generally intimidating, while others described more overtly threatening behavior. Central to the Bunny Man legend is the setting of Clifton, Virginia, and particularly a structure known as the Bunny Man Bridge. This bridge, an overpass located on Colchester Road, became linked to the story due to its eerie and isolated ambiance. Urban legends suggest that the Bunny Man lurks around this area, especially during Halloween. Several theories have been proposed regarding the origins of the Bunny Man. Some suggest that the story might be a conflation of different historical events or misreported incidents. Others believe it may be rooted in the area's history of mental institutions and their historical stigmatization, with the Bunny Man serving as a manifestation of societal fears surrounding mental illness. Another theory posits that the story could be an exaggerated response to a real person's unusual behavior, possibly exacerbated by the local rumor mill. Another theory posits that the Bunny Man is actually a time-traveling juggalo-furry hybrid. Supporters of this theory cite the Bunny Man's well-documented use of a hatchet, as well as his use of a fursuit. And you may be asking at this point, who put this theory forward? Well, spoiler alert, this one is a Lazy Chill Zone original. Let me know your own original Bunny Man theory in the comments below. The disappearance of Henry Hudson. Henry Hudson was an extremely prominent English navigator and explorer in the early 17th century. His disappearance in 1611 during an ill-fated expedition to discover the Northwest Passage remains one of maritime history's foremost mysteries. Henry Hudson was a seasoned navigator, known for his determination and expertise in icy waters. By 1611, Hudson had already embarked on several voyages, aiming to find a northerly route to Asia. His final voyage began auspiciously as he commanded the Discovery, setting sail with a crew that included his son. The journey was fraught with challenges from the start. Hudson's ship became trapped in the ice near present-day Hudson Bay, a vast body of water in Canada that would later bear his name. As the winter of 1610 to 1611 set in, food supplies dwindled and morale plummeted. The situation within the Discovery deteriorated rapidly, setting the stage for mutiny. The known facts about Hudson's fate end in June 1611. It was then that tensions culminated in a mutiny led by several crew members. Hudson, his son, and a few loyalists were cast adrift in a small, open boat. What followed remains a matter of conjecture, as no definitive records of their fate exist. Following the mutiny, the mutineers made a harrowing journey back to England, where they faced trial. And as a quick aside, most of the mutineers passed away prior to their arrival back in England. Interestingly, most were acquitted, and the detailed circumstances of the mutiny were never fully disclosed. Theories about what happened to Hudson after being set adrift vary widely. One prevalent theory suggests that Hudson and his companions might have tried to survive on the shores of Hudson Bay. Some indigenous oral histories hint at the presence of European men matching their description in the years following the mutiny. These accounts suggest a possible integration into a local tribe or a failed attempt to live off the harsh land. Another theory speculates that Hudson attempted to sail back to Europe or find a populated outpost in North America. This theory is bolstered by occasional European artifacts found in archaeological digs near Hudson Bay, which some suggest could have been left by Hudson or his crew. Perhaps most fascinating was a find in the late 1950s in the town of Deep River, Ontario. An engraving was found on a large rock with the date 1612, the initials HH, and the word captive. Notably, the lettering on the stone was found to be of the style used by English navigators on their maps in the 17th century. This has led to the theory that Hudson, and perhaps his son, were being held captive by either a native tribe or perhaps even French colonists. Further adding to the mystery are the stories and legends that sprang up in the aftermath of Hudson's disappearance. Some narratives romanticize his end as a quest for survival against all odds, battling the elements in a harsh, unforgiving landscape. Others focus on the tragic aspect of his story, portraying him as a victim of betrayal by his own crew. Theories aside, the disappearance of Henry Hudson highlights the perilous nature of early exploration, especially in the icy waters of the Arctic. However, not all is negative, and Hudson left an extremely significant legacy despite his uncertain end. Hudson's expeditions, particularly his last, contributed significantly to the mapping of the northeastern coast of North America and opened up new routes for future explorers. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. Also, I release content very regularly, so I can't emphasize this enough. Ring the bell and turn on all notifications so you're never behind on this series. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership you can support for as little as 99 cents a month. Remember to join the Discord as well if that's your thing. We've got nearly 100 members at this point. Spontaneous human combustion. Spontaneous human combustion is a phenomenon that has both mystified and intrigued observers for centuries. This phenomenon involves cases where a human body purportedly catches fire and is consumed by flames without an apparent external source of ignition. The history of spontaneous human combustion dates back to the 17th century, with numerous cases reported through the 1800s, which continue to be documented today. Scientifically, spontaneous human combustion is considered a pseudoscientific concept, as no conclusive evidence supports the spontaneous ignition of a human body without an external flame source. Historical accounts often describe the victims being almost completely incinerated while their surroundings suffer minimal damage. For instance, an individual is commonly described as incinerated while their chair remains untouched. These cases commonly feature elderly, isolated individuals who are often found with their extremities intact while the torso is completely burned. One of the earliest and most famous literary references to spontaneous human combustion is in Charles Dickens's novel Blank House. In this novel, a character meets his end through a spontaneous human combustion event. Dickens's inclusion of spontaneous human combustion in his novel reflects the fascination and widespread discussion of the topic during the Victorian era. Throughout the centuries, various theories have been proposed to explain spontaneous human combustion. These range from the body's alcohol content acting as an accelerant to supernatural explanations such as divine intervention. However, modern scientific investigations claim to have, quote, debunked these earlier theories. They suggest that external sources of ignition and the wick effect, where the body acts like an inside-out candle with clothing or other nearby flammable materials feeding the fire, are more plausible explanations. Noteworthy cases include that of Countess Cornelia de Bandy in 1731, whose demise was so peculiar that it prompted extensive debate among contemporaries about the possible causes of the blaze. Notably, my brief review of her specific case indicates that she may have spilled alcohol on her clothing, which suggests an alternative cause of this combustion. More modern examples include the 1951 case of Mary Reeser, whose body was found almost entirely reduced to ashes in her otherwise relatively undamaged apartment. However, subsequent investigations into the Reeser case have suggested that she was a significantly overweight heavy smoker wearing flammable clothing. Under this theory, she may have dropped ash onto her clothing, which caused the initial fire, with her chair and body fat serving as subsequent fuel. Further, her apartment was bare bones, and the floor was concrete, suggesting why there was no further damage. At any rate, spontaneous human combustion remains a well-documented mystery, much like other scientific mysteries such as ball lightning. The Salyut Seven Angels. This is a recommendation from Patreon supporter Iced Mocha, with assistance from her with Russian language sources. Notably, this story has received almost no coverage in English language sources. The Salyut 7 space station, launched by the Soviet Union on April 19, 1982, was the site of one of the most mysterious episodes in the history of space exploration. Salyut 7 served as a key platform for scientific research and was operational until 1991. It was equipped with advanced facilities, including 2 docking ports and an array of solar panels, making it the most comfortable and advanced of the Salyut stations at that time. Dubbed the Salyut 7 Angels incident, it involves reports from cosmonauts aboard the station who claim to have witnessed celestial beings during their mission. The bizarre sightings occurred twice during the mission in July 1984. Initially reported by cosmonauts Leonid Kizim, Vladimir Solovyov, and Oleg Atkov, they described encountering an intense orange light that seemed to penetrate the station. This was followed by the appearance of large humanoid figures with wings, resembling traditional depictions of angels. These figures were reported to be visible outside the station, accompanying it briefly before disappearing. Just days after the initial encounter, the phenomenon reportedly recurred, this time observed by an expanded crew that included additional members from the Soyuz T-12 mission. Both times, the cosmonauts described these beings as peaceful, with a serene demeanor, each encounter lasting several minutes before the figures vanished. The explanations for these sightings vary widely. Some experts suggest they could have been hallucinations induced by the extended duration in space and the high stress of orbital operations, especially considering the psychological and physical strain on space travelers. Others speculate that the event was, in essence, a mass hysteria or a shared delusion in space. Others speculate more extraordinary explanations, ranging from divine manifestations to encounters with extraterrestrial entities. However, no definitive evidence has been presented to confirm any of these theories. In the context of Cold War secrecy and the sensational nature of the claims, the Soviet Space Agency was reportedly quick to classify the details of the incident. It wasn't until the decline of the Soviet Union that these accounts became widely known in former Eastern Bloc countries, contributing to ongoing debates and speculations about what the cosmonauts really saw. These stories resonate not just in the history of space exploration, but also in popular culture, where they fuel theories about human encounters with otherworldly beings. Despite extensive investigations and discussions, the Salyut Seven Angels incident remains a complete mystery at present. The Girl from the Lem Statue. The Girl from the Lem, also known as the Woman from Lem, is a statue that has captivated the public due to the dark lore surrounding it. This artifact, carved from pure limestone, was unearthed in Lem, Cyprus in 1878, and its creation dates back to around 3500 BC. While its precise function is not definitively known, it is thought to have possibly served as a fertility statue to an as yet to be identified goddess. Despite its benign possible purpose as a fertility enhancer, the statue is better known for its alleged lethal impact on its owners. The history of the statue includes a series of owners who reportedly met untimely ends. The first recorded owner, Lord Elfont, saw his entire family perish within 6 years of acquiring the statue. Subsequent owners, Ivor Minucci and Lord Thompson Noel, along with their families, faced similar fates within a few years of possessing the statue. The eerie pattern of fatalities linked to the statue led to it acquiring a number of sinister nicknames and enhancing its dark reputation. In an attempt to end this cycle, the last private owner, Sir Alan Beaverbrook, whose family also suffered under the statue's ownership, donated it to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh. Interestingly, the museum curator who initially handled the statue reportedly died within a year, adding another layer of intrigue and fear surrounding the artifact. Today, the statue remains in the museum, securely placed behind glass, perhaps as much to protect it from the world as to protect the world from it. Theories about the statue's supposed curse vary widely. Some speculate that the statue may be imbued with ancient energies or curses linked to the goddess it possibly represents. Others suggest that the series of unfortunate events associated with its owners might be coincidental or influenced by psychological factors. Under this theory, the belief in the curse brings about a heightened perception of normal life events as sinister and foreboding, leading to disastrous outcomes. Others question the story as a whole, noting that while the statue itself is definitely real, the stories surrounding the so-called curse are poorly attested. In my view, this case has a lot of similarities to the much more well-known Hope Diamond curse, covered in a previous entry in the series. Also, like the Hope Diamond curse, upon basic research, there appears to be virtually no supporting evidence for the claims associated with the curse. I feel fairly comfortable categorizing this mystery under the same heading as creepy stories from Reddit, complete fiction. The Northeast Blackout of 1965. On November 9, 1965, at approximately 5:15 p.m., a significant portion of the northeastern United States and parts of Canada were plunged into darkness. This affected over 30 million people in an area spanning 80,000 square miles. This event, known as the Northeast Blackout of 1965, stands as one of the most significant power failures in North American history. The blackout began with a small human error, a misconfigured relay at the Sir Adam Beck station on the Ontario side of the Niagara River. Yeah, you heard me right. Under the official narrative, you can blame Canada for this one. This seemingly minor issue at a single power station led to a series of failures throughout a power grid that was heavily interconnected and reliant on each station maintaining its load. As demand peaked during the early evening hours, the error caused a transmission line from the Niagara generating station to trip, setting off a domino effect. Within seconds, power stations across Ontario and the northeastern United States were overwhelmed, leading to widespread outages. The immediate effects were dramatic and far-reaching. In New York City, over 800,000 people were trapped in the subway system, while thousands more were stuck in elevators across the affected areas. Airports were shut down, and in the era before widespread cellular communication, the lack of information led to confusion and anxiety. Despite the widespread disruption, the response to the blackout was notably calm and orderly. In New York City, for example, citizens directed traffic and helped emergency services. The event was marked by a spontaneous spirit of cooperation that prevented any major crises during the hours without power. This reaction was later highlighted as a testament to the resilience and community spirit of the affected populations. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1965 blackout was the range of theories and mysteries that emerged regarding its cause. While the blackout is now officially considered solved, there are still numerous conspiracy theories surrounding the blackout. During the Cold War era, the idea that sabotage could be a cause was taken seriously. The FBI investigated the possibility that the blackout could have been deliberately caused as an act of espionage or sabotage by foreign agents. Others speculated that geomagnetic storms caused by solar flares might have interfered with the Earth's magnetic field, inducing currents that tripped the power lines and equipment. At the more extreme end of the spectrum, there were claims linking the blackout to unidentified flying objects. These stories were fueled by concurrent sightings of strange lights in the sky, which were later attributed to increased public awareness and vigilance in the dark, starlit skies of the blackout-affected area. Subsequent investigations by the Federal Power Commission pointed squarely to the relay setting error and the vulnerabilities in the power grid's design. It highlighted the need for better coordination and fail-safes within the interconnected systems. In the wake of the blackout, there were significant changes in how power systems were managed across North America. The event led to the establishment of more rigorous standards for grid management, including the formation of the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. This corporation was tasked with enhancing the reliability and security of the bulk power system in the US and Canada. The Screaming Tunnel. The Screaming Tunnel, nestled near Niagara Falls, Canada, is a potentially haunted site that has garnered significant attention for over 2 decades. This 125-foot-long tunnel was originally constructed in the early 1800s, primarily serving as a drainage passage for the Grand Trunk Railway. However, it also provided a safe crossing for farmers and their livestock beneath the bustling railway tracks. As with many historical sites, the Screaming Tunnel has accrued its share of eerie stories over the decades. The most prevalent legend tells of a young girl who tragically met her end within the tunnel under horrifying circumstances. Though the stories vary, they all paint a picture of terror and tragedy, contributing to the tunnel's haunted reputation. According to local lore, one story suggests that the girl was trying to escape a catastrophic blaze in a nearby farmhouse. Another grim version hints at a much more sinister act by a family member during a custody dispute. The tunnel is said to echo with her screams, which can supposedly be heard if one stands in the tunnel at midnight and lights a match only to have it extinguished by a mysterious wind. Skeptics have argued that the, quote, screaming heard from the tunnel is more accurately explained as a wind tunnel effect than paranormal activity. Despite its ghostly fame, The Screaming Tunnel also draws attention for its architectural and historical significance. It has even caught the eye of the film industry. Notably, it was featured in David Cronenberg's adaptation of Stephen King's The Dead Zone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate how many of you have come to enjoy my content. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z-Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube members Jordan All and Lowlife Baphomet. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 40 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell since I drop new content all the time. The disappearance of Chris Creamers and Lisanne Froon. In April 2014, Chris Creamers and Lisanne Froon, two young women from the Netherlands, embarked on a journey to Panama for what was expected to be an adventurous trip. Their disappearance soon after has perplexed investigators, enthralled the global community, and spawned numerous theories about what really happened to them. Chris Creamers, 21, and Lisanne Froon, 22, were roommates in Amersfoort, Netherlands. Both had recently completed their university studies. Chris had graduated in cultural social education, specializing in art education at the University of Utrecht, and Lisanne had just finished a degree in applied psychology. They arrived in Panama for a 6-week vacation, intended to include Spanish classes and volunteering with children. The sequence of events began on April 1st, 2014, when they traveled to Boquete, a small town in Panama, known for its coffee plantations, beautiful scenery, and hiking trails. They were hosted by a local family and planned to start volunteering at a local school. The day after their arrival, they went hiking near the clouded forests around the Baru volcano, accompanied by the host family's dog. The dog returned home without them, which first raised alarms about their whereabouts. Concern grew when neither of the women showed up for their volunteering session on April 2nd. Searches began shortly after their disappearance was confirmed. 10 weeks later, a local woman turned in Lisanne's backpack, which she found by a riverbank near her village. Inside the backpack were 2 pairs of sunglasses, $83 in cash, Lisanne's passport, a water bottle, a camera, undergarments, and both women's phones. The condition and contents of the backpack raised more questions. Analysis of the cell phones revealed numerous attempts to call emergency services on April 1st, the day of their hike. However, unfortunately, none of the calls went through due to lack of reception in the somewhat remote area. Further investigation into the camera found photos from the day they went missing, showing them on a trail near the Continental Divide. However, it was the subsequent photos, taken in the dark, showing rocky terrains and twigs with plastic bags tied to them, that deepened the mystery. In June 2014, close to where the backpack was found, a local woman discovered a boot with a foot still inside. This led to a more extensive search that uncovered more remains, including bones that forensic analysis confirmed belonged to Chris and Lisanne. Despite these grim discoveries, the exact circumstances surrounding their disappearance remain largely unknown. Theories about what happened to them vary widely. Some speculate that they simply got lost or fell accidentally after straying from the marked paths in an unfamiliar and challenging terrain. Others suggest they may have encountered a threat in the wilderness or from another person, though evidence to support this is inconclusive. Local knowledge and the geography of the area offer some clues. The dense jungle around the Baru volcano is known for its treacherous paths and steep declines. Sudden weather changes can further complicate navigation and hiking conditions, potentially leading to tragic accidents. The discovery of their belongings along a river suggests they might have tried to follow the water downstream as a survival strategy. In the years following their disappearance, the case has seen numerous developments, including investigations by both Panamanian authorities and private detectives hired by the families. Yet, many questions remain unanswered. The lack of clear evidence has prevented a definitive understanding of the events that led to their tragic end. The Black Volga. The Black Volga is an urban legend deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of Eastern Europe, particularly in Russia, Poland, and Ukraine. This tale involves a mysterious Black Volga car that allegedly appeared during the 1960s to the 1980s, associated with numerous spooky occurrences and disappearances. The Black Volga legend centers around a black GAZ Volga, a type of car manufactured in the Soviet Union that became a symbol of authority as it was often used by government officials. The story gained traction during a time of intense political repression, where trust in the government was minimal, and fear of abductions by the state was real. According to the tales, the Black Volga was said to roam the streets, particularly targeting little ones. Eyewitness accounts varied significantly, with some claiming the car was driven by nuns, priests, or even state officials. Other versions suggested that the car appeared out of nowhere, often accompanied by a chilling silence or a peculiar hum. This vehicle was not just a symbol of fear, but also served as a cautionary tale, warning individuals, particularly the young, about the dangers of their surroundings. One of the most chilling aspects of the Black Volga legend is the personal stories that have been passed down through generations. For instance, in Poland, there was a widespread belief that children who approached the car were never seen again. Several theories have been proposed to explain the phenomenon of the Black Volga. One popular theory is that it was a product of mass hysteria. During the Cold War era, the fear of espionage and government interference in daily life was high. The Black Volga could have been an embodiment of these fears, a phantom vehicle that represented the omnipresent threat posed by the government. Another theory suggests that the legend of the Black Volga was used as a tool to control behavior. By instilling fear in the population, particularly among children, parents and authorities could ensure more cautious behavior, adherence to curfews, and avoidance of strangers. Finally, some believe that the stories might have a basis in reality, where actual Black Volgas were used discreetly by the government or criminals, and the tales were exaggerated over time. This theory is supported by the fact that black luxury cars were a rare sight and could have easily been a sign of power and elicited fear among the general populace. Whether the stories have any factual basis or are merely the products of collective fear, they have become a significant part of the folklore in the regions where they originated. Notably, this case has some similarities to the Phantom Social Workers case previously discussed in this series. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. Also, I release content very regularly, so I can't emphasize this enough. Ring the bell and turn on all notifications so you're never behind on this series. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents a month. Remember to join the Discord as well. We've got nearly 100 members at this point. The Demon Cat of the Capital. The Demon Cat of the Capital, often referred to as DC by those familiar with its tale, is a legend steeped in the atmosphere of Washington, D.C.'s past. The story of the Demon Cat supposedly begins in the underbelly of the Capitol building. The Capitol, constructed in the late 18th century, has been the venue of numerous historical events, but few are aware of its lesser-known residents: cats. These felines were initially brought in to control the exploding rat population. And yeah, as I'm going through this recording, I just need to add a quick note here. The rats were not literally exploding, though a population of exploding rats would make for a good urban legend. Get out there and spread it, people. Anyway, back to the demon cat of the capital. Over time, they became part of capital lore, but one cat, in particular, seemed to transcend its earthly life to become a ghostly legend. During the 19th century, as the tale goes, sightings of a mysterious cat began to circulate among Capitol guards and maintenance staff. Described as an ordinary cat that could grow to the size of a tiger in moments of alarm, it was seen predominantly during the night, particularly before national tragedies or significant political changes. The most notable sightings of the demon cat date back to the early 1900s. Guards reported encountering the cat in the small hours of the morning, especially in the dimly lit corridors of the Capitol's basement. According to these accounts, the cat would appear normal at first, but as one approached or it felt threatened, it would swell in size and its eyes would glow menacingly before it disappeared. Anecdotes from those who claim to have seen the cat often include details of the cat vanishing into thin air or through solid walls, leaving no trace but an eerie air of foreboding. Reports peaked in the 1940s, with some suggesting that the cat was seen before significant events such as the stock market crash of 1929 and before the onset of World War II. The physical description of the demon cat varies, but several elements remain consistent in eyewitness testimonies. These include its sudden change in size, glowing eyes, and its tendency to vanish suddenly. Its appearances are also said to be an omen of misfortune or a herald of change. Skeptics argue that the sightings were products of the guards' imaginations, spurred by the solitude and silence of their night shifts in the vast, echoing halls of the Capitol. This theory is supported by the lack of any concrete evidence of the cat's existence, such as photographs or video recordings, which are plentiful for other areas of the Capitol. There are several theories about the origins of the demon cat. One popular theory suggests that the cat was a pet of one of the Capitol's original caretakers, whose spirit remained in the building after its demise. Another theory posits that the cat is a manifestation of the collective anxiety and stress of the nation, appearing before events that cause national stress or sorrow. Some folklore enthusiasts believe that the cat is a guardian of the Capitol, a spectral sentinel watching over the nation's legislative heart. Others suggest more unorthodox theories, including dimensional rifts or a time-traveling cat. Another theory suggests that the cat was sent by alien life forms to observe the American governmental process. In favor of this theory, the cat stopped being seen around the time the atomic bombs were dropped, and alien sightings ramped up massively. The New Zealand Mandela Effect. The location of New Zealand Mandela Effect is a particularly intriguing case of collective false memory. A significant number of people remember the geographical positioning of New Zealand differently from its actual location. For anyone unaware, the Mandela Effect describes a situation where large groups of people share the same specific false memory of an event or fact, which contradicts generally accepted reality. In the case of New Zealand, the Mandela Effect manifests in the collective misremembering of its location relative to Australia. New Zealand is located southeast of Australia, approximately 1,200 miles away across the Tasman Sea. However, some individuals recall it being positioned northeast of Australia, or even directly south, rather than to the southeast. These misremembrances contribute to ongoing debates and discussions about geographical memories and the reliability of cognitive mapping in humans. This collective false memory could be influenced by several factors. One prevalent theory suggests that distortions arise from the various map projections used over time, which can significantly alter the perceived sizes, shapes, and positions of land masses. For example, the Mercator projection is notorious for its distortion of areas, particularly as one moves away from the equator. This once popular projection could contribute to misconceptions about the size and location of countries like New Zealand. Furthermore, cognitive psychology offers insights into how and why these false memories might form. The human memory system is not a flawless recording mechanism, but is rather prone to errors during the processes of encoding, storing, and recalling information. Memories can be influenced by numerous factors, including media exposure, educational materials, and personal biases. Sometimes, when there is a gap in our memories, the brain fills it with plausible, though incorrect information, a process known as confabulation. Social and cultural exposure also plays a significant role. People might associate New Zealand with certain images or contexts seen in media, like films and television, which can skew their perception of its geographical context. For instance, New Zealand's portrayal as the lush, isolated backdrop in movies such as The Lord of the Rings might enhance a sense of it being further away from other land masses. However, believers in the Mandela effect generally hold that this collective memory issue is actually explained more accurately by parallel realities. Anyway, have a look at a map and tell me if New Zealand is where you thought it was or not. Personally, I think the best explanation for this Mandela effect is that most people don't actually know where New Zealand is precisely, but do know that it is near Australia. Therefore, when they hear someone suggest that it was in a different location near Australia, they engage in the confabulation process described earlier. Black cats. Black cats have long been subjects of mythology, superstition, and curiosity across various cultures. Known for their sleek, dark fur and mysterious demeanor, these cats have a history that spans from revered symbols of luck to unfortunate targets of fear. Historically, black cats have held a paradoxical place in society. In ancient Egypt, where cats were considered sacred, black cats in particular were believed to bring good luck and were so revered that harming one could result in severe penalties. Moving to Europe in the Middle Ages, the perception of black cats took a darker turn. They were often associated with witches and misfortune. This fear was so pervasive that it led to the widespread mistreatment of black cats. This action, ironically, became a bad omen in itself, especially as these animals were beneficial in controlling pests. Later, during the reign of King Charles I of England, possession of a black cat was considered his lucky charm. The king cherished his black cat so much that after the cat's passing, he proclaimed that his luck was gone. According to legend, the day after the cat's demise, Charles I was arrested, which later led to his non-consensual ending, reinforcing the superstition around the protective power of black cats in royal circles. Moreover, in British folklore, a black cat crossing one's path is considered good luck, contrary to the American superstition, where it is often seen as a bad omen. In Scottish lore, the arrival of a strange black cat to a home signifies prosperity, while in Japan, black cats are believed to attract suitors for single women. Genetically, the black coat of these cats is the result of a high concentration of melanin. A specific genetic mutation causes this, making their fur not only black, but also sometimes giving it a rusty hue in sunlight. However, research indicates that the genetic traits responsible for a cat's black coat may offer them an advantage in survival, suggesting they could have a better immune response to certain diseases. Further, since they are stealth predators that are mostly active at night, cats benefit significantly from dark coats. One of the most famous black cats in literary history is the cat from Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Black Cat, where the feline becomes central to an unsettling tale of psychological horror. This story, while fictional, echoes the dark aura mystically assigned to black cats in folklore. Historically, black cats have lower adoption rates in shelters compared to cats of other colors. This phenomenon, often referred to as black dog syndrome, affects black cats similarly, possibly due to enduring superstitions. The Red Room Curse. The Red Room Curse, originating from Japan, is an intriguing digital age urban legend that taps into deep-seated fears enhanced by internet culture. Rooted in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the legend speaks of a malevolent pop-up that appears on a user's screen with a disturbing prompt. This pop-up is accompanied by a list of names, including the viewer's own. According to the pop-up, the previous names are the prior victims of the curse, with the viewer's own name being the latest on the list. According to the legend, the individual will then feel an eerie presence looming behind them. This presence will then slowly suck the life out of the individual, with the individual subsequently slowly losing consciousness. Eventually, they will be discovered in their residence, in a room where the walls are covered in red. And since this is YouTube, let's just say this was painted red with ketchup. Historically, the curse is associated with a specific Adobe Flash animation that became popular in the early 2000s. The animation features a scenario where interacting with the cursed pop-up leads to tragic outcomes. This narrative quickly spread across the internet, gaining notoriety as it played into the widespread anxiety about the unknown digital territories that were emerging at the time. Despite its fictional origins, the Red Room Curse has been linked to real-life incidents, adding a layer of ominous credibility to the tale. Notably, it was mentioned in media reports surrounding a tragic event in 2004 in Sasebo, Japan, where a young individual was linked to the curse following a grave incident at a Sasebo elementary school. This involved a young girl, referred to as Girl A, due to her age, who caused a life-taking incident involving another student. It was reported that Girl A had shown interest in the Red Room Curse animation, with the video bookmarked on her computer. This connection brought significant attention to the legend, merging it with a real-world event, and amplifying the public's fear and fascination with the potential dangers of the digital world. Currently, accessing the original webpage is challenging due to the closure of GeoCities and the discontinuation of Adobe Flash. From a psychological and cultural perspective, the curse exploits the potent symbolism of the color red, which is often associated with danger, warning, and prohibition across various cultures. This aspect of the curse is critical as it taps into universal human emotions, such as fear and apprehension, which are amplified in the isolation of one's interaction with the digital world. Let me know in the comments or on Discord if you have any suggestions for other internet mysteries or internet urban legends. The Disappearance of Owen Parfitt. Owen Parfitt lived in Shepton Mallet, a small town in Somerset, England in the 18th century. Parfitt had a colorful past, including his service in the military abroad, along with stories of bravery, piracy, and, as you may have guessed, stories involving the ladies. By the time of his disappearance, he was in his 60s or early 70s, suffering from severe physical disabilities that left him almost completely immobile. He lived with his sister Mary, who was his primary caretaker. On a summer evening in June 1763, Parfitt, wearing his old sea clothes, was sitting outside his house, a common practice for him, as he enjoyed watching the street activities. His sister helped him out to his usual spot by the front door, and then went back inside to continue her chores. When she returned, Parfit had vanished, despite his inability to move independently and the lack of any disturbances noted by neighbors or passers-by. The disappearance of Owen Parfit prompted an immediate search. The local community, stunned by the abruptness of the event, rallied together, but no trace of him was ever found. The local authorities conducted a formal investigation, but no evidence could explain how someone in Parfit's condition could disappear so suddenly and completely. Several theories have been proposed over the years to explain what happened to Owen Parfit. One popular theory suggests that he was abducted, possibly by someone he knew, as it would have been almost impossible for a stranger to approach and remove him without attracting attention. Another theory speculates that perhaps he had arranged for someone to help him leave, desiring to end his days elsewhere, away from his life of dependency and immobility. Additionally, some more supernatural explanations have also surfaced. Local folklore suggests that Parfit, who often boasted of his dubious past and dealings with dark and mystical forces, might have been taken by supernatural means. Stories circulated that perhaps a supernatural force he had once consorted with came back to claim him. With no physical evidence, witnesses, or plausible explanations, the case is as cold today as it was over 250 years ago. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all, and thank you all for your support. Every time I upload, I'm constantly in shock by how many of you love and appreciate my content. Also, if you want to go the extra step, remember to consider a YouTube membership or the Patreon, and to join the Discord server. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z-Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube members Jordan All and Lowlife Baphomet. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone. Welcome to part 41 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg, where we explore true crime, urban legends, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, internet mysteries, and more. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell since I drop new content all the time. Hyperthymesia. Hyperthymesia, or highly superior autobiographical memory, is a rare neurological condition that enables individuals to recall the vast majority of their personal life experiences in great detail. The term hyperthymesia was first coined by researchers at the University of California, Irvine, following their study of Jill Price, the first person diagnosed with the condition in 2006. Price approached the researchers in 2000, troubled by her memory capabilities, which she described as non-stop, uncontrollable, and automatic recollections of every day of her life from adolescence onwards. Individuals with hyperthymesia can often recall nearly every day of their lives in considerable detail. They can remember specific dates, what they did, who they met, what was said, and their emotions at the time. This extensive memory recall often includes the ability to identify which day of the week a particular date fell on, and detailed descriptions of their activities on that day. The mechanisms behind hyperthymesia remain not fully understood. Initial theories suggested that people with this condition might engage in continuous and obsessive review of their memories. However, further studies, including those involving brain scans, have shown no definitive structural differences in key memory areas like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, leading to debates about the exact neural basis of the condition. Let's return briefly to discuss the experiences of those who have actually been diagnosed with this condition. Jill Price, discussed earlier, is perhaps the most well-documented case of hyperthymesia. She describes her memory as a split screen, continuously replaying scenes from her past alongside her current experiences, without the ability to control or stop the playback. Another individual, Noma Vaisa, who was diagnosed with the condition, uses his exceptional memory as inspiration for his professional painting, channeling his recollections into art. Current research has continued to focus on the neurological underpinnings of the condition, using brain scans to hopefully attain greater understanding of this rare condition. There's also an ongoing discussion about the role of genetic factors and environmental factors, though again, there are more questions than answers. Further, some studies suggest a link between hyperthymesia and the production of cholinesterase, a protein also involved in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Under this theory, hyperthymesia is, to put it crudely, the anti-Alzheimer's condition. Despite the progress in understanding hyperthymesia, virtually everything about the condition remains unknown. The rarity of the condition has also made it difficult to perform widespread and replicable studies. Further, some have suggested that the condition may not actually exist, though given the nature of the condition, it is hard to disprove existence as well. The New Jersey Devil's Tree. This is a suggestion from community member Za. Great obscure suggestion. The Devil's Tree, a solitary oak located in an undeveloped field on Mountain Road in the Martinsville section of Bernards Township, New Jersey, is enveloped in urban legends and supernatural claims. Historically, this tree has allegedly been a site of horrendous acts, activities carried out by a certain white-hooded group, adding a layer of dark historical significance to its story. This infamous group's presence in this area during the 1920s reportedly made the tree a communal ground for unspeakable acts. Over the years, another tale tied to the tree is that of a farmer who, overwhelmed by despair, slew his family, and then realizing what he had done, consensually brought about his own end. These incidents are believed to have left a long-lasting malevolent energy, contributing to the tree's fearsome reputation. The tree is also associated with a variety of eerie phenomena. For instance, many believe the ground around the Devil's Tree remains largely snow-free during winter, a peculiar detail that adds to its mystique. Adding to the supernatural aura, some claim the tree and a nearby rock are warm to the touch, regardless of the weather, leading to legends that they serve as portals to hell. Local lore also warns of dire consequences for those who disrespect the tree, including physical harm or vehicular malfunctions soon after such acts. Accounts of a mysterious black truck that chases away people from the tree further contribute to its ominous reputation. This truck reportedly appears out of nowhere and disappears just as quickly, heightening the eerie tales surrounding the tree. According to one telling, the tree is guarded at all times by human occupants of the truck. However, spookier tellings posit that the truck is actually a spectral vehicle and may not be driven by any living being at all. And if you'll allow me to take a quick aside here, it's a phantom truck. Has anyone just tried suplexing it? If you know, you know. Anyway, back to the tree itself. Despite these intimidating stories, the Devil's Tree attracts numerous visitors, from the curious to thrill seekers, all drawn by its dark history and the chilling tales associated with it. The tree's reputation is bolstered by various personal anecdotes of strange occurrences other than the truck, with some visitors claiming to hear screams or see ghostly figures. Due to the popular demand of visitors flocking to see this tree year-round, and especially during the Halloween season, some tremendous protective steps have been taken. The oak is now wrapped in what could only be described as an outfit of rudimentary chainmail armor. Personally, I think it's a real Oak Ward sight. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and the notification bell. My goal continues to be to make the most extensive Iceberg series of all time, and I want you along for the ride. Also, I release content very regularly, so I can't emphasize this enough. Ring the bell and turn on all notifications so you're never behind on this series. Also, if you really want to take it to the next level, please consider signing up for a YouTube membership or a Patreon membership. You can support for as little as 99 cents a month. And remember to join the Discord as well if that's your thing. We've got nearly 100 members at this point. The Crystal Skulls. The legend of the Crystal Skulls involve artifacts made from clear or milky quartz and resembling human skulls. The narrative of the Crystal Skulls begins in the late 19th century, when they started appearing in private and public collections across the globe. These skulls were often attributed to ancient Mesoamerican civilizations like the Aztec, Maya, or Mixtec. Alleged finders and believers attributed mystical powers to these artifacts, from healing abilities to psychic enhancement. The fascination was so widespread that it even influenced popular culture. Notably, the 2008 Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull movie. However, the romantic tales of their ancient origins are countered by a significant body of scientific evidence and scholarly research indicating that these skulls are, in fact, modern fabrications. Not a single skull has been recovered from a documented archaeological excavation, and detailed examinations have consistently revealed that the skulls were crafted using modern tools and techniques. For instance, electron microscopy analyses conducted by the British Museum and the Smithsonian have shown tool marks indicative of modern carving implements. These tools were presumably not available to ancient Mesoamerican craftsmen. One of the most famous crystal skulls is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, purportedly discovered by Anna Mitchell-Hedges in 1924 in Belize. However, this claim is fraught with inconsistencies, and later investigations revealed that it was likely purchased by her father, Frederick Mitchell-Hedges, at an auction in London in the 1940s. Despite its dubious provenance, this skull has been a focal point of both fascination and skepticism. It has undergone numerous scientific tests, which suggest that it was crafted much later than originally claimed, utilizing techniques that would not have been available in ancient times. Another prominent crystal skull was anonymously sent to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in 1992. The donor claimed that it was of Aztec origin, and that the skull had been in the collection of Mexican dictator Porfirio Diaz, who ruled the nation for nearly 5 decades. A pivotal figure in the story of the crystal skulls is Eugene Boban, an antiquarian who is often linked to their initial appearance on the market. Boban had a reputation for dealing in dubious artifacts and is believed to have sold several fake skulls, which later made their way into museum collections. His activities highlight a broader issue of forgeries in the art and artifact world, particularly during a time when fascination with ancient cultures was high. Further scientific scrutiny has only deepened doubts about the skull's authenticity. Advanced techniques like Raman spectroscopy and X-ray diffraction analysis have been employed to probe the origins of the crystal material itself. These studies have traced some of the quartz material to sources like Brazil and Madagascar, rather than Mexico, undermining claims of their pre-Columbian Mesoamerican origins. Such findings underscore the likelihood that these skulls were crafted in Europe, possibly as recently as the late 19th century. Some believers in the mystical qualities of the crystal skulls assert that they possess powers that can heal illness, ward off disasters, and even influence global consciousness. A particularly popular theory is that the skulls are part of a set of 13 ancient skulls, which, when united, can prevent a catastrophe predicted by Mayan or other Mesoamerican calendars. This theory generally holds that the crystal skulls had been crafted by the Atlanteans and had been taken by the Atlanteans to Mesoamerica for safekeeping. According to this theory, the crystal skulls were eventually acquired by the Mayans, whose religion partly revolved around veneration of the skulls. Another theory suggests that the crystal skulls are not human-made at all, but were left behind by extraterrestrial visitors. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the true origins and nature of the crystal skulls are being hidden by governments or secretive groups. Despite overwhelming evidence that they are recent fabrications, the crystal skulls continue to be a subject of curiosity and speculation. I suspect this is because despite this, the objects are legitimately fascinating, and there is a significant air of mystery around them, even if you accepted the quote, debunked story. Cats that returned home. Cats returning to their homes after very long periods of time or after harrowing journeys is a well-documented phenomenon. A cat named Phoebe, who had been missing for nearly 20 years in the small English town of Nantwich in Cheshire, was reunited with her owner and spent her final days with her. Phoebe had vanished in 2001 and was presumed lost forever until she was found and identified through her microchip. In 2012, Lucy, a 2-year-old tortoiseshell cat, slipped out of the Simpson family's home in Windsor, Australia. Despite their extensive efforts and lost hope over the years, the Simpsons were reunited with Lucy when she was discovered living a mere 5 minutes away with an elderly woman. Similarly, another English family experienced what they described as a Christmas miracle when their cat Toby, who had been missing for 11 years, was returned to them. Toby went missing during a move and was found 9 miles away from his original location. Theories abound about what cats do when they are away from their homes. Some suggest that cats may establish secondary territories or find alternate sources of food and shelter that allow them to survive independently. Others propose that the loyalty and memory of cats can lead them back home, even after many years. Cats possess a remarkable ability to navigate and find their way home, a phenomenon that has intrigued researchers and pet owners alike. Various theories and studies have been proposed to explain how cats manage to locate their homes over great distances and after long periods. Some scientists believe cats, like migratory birds, might use the Earth's magnetic field to orient themselves. This geomagnetic sense could help them determine their location relative to home, no matter how far away they are. Moreover, cats have an acute sense of smell, which could enable them to recognize familiar scents and trace their steps back home. They might use scent trails left during their travels, or pick up on other environmental odors that act as cues to guide them back. Cats are also known for their excellent memory and observational skills. They might also use visual landmarks to navigate back to familiar territories. Their ability to remember significant places in their environment can assist them in mapping a route back home. There is also a theory that cats have a kind of genetic memory or instinct that guides their homing behavior. This instinctual capability could be a survival mechanism inherited from their ancestors. Several studies have aimed to understand this homing ability by tracking cats' movements using GPS and observing their behavior in unfamiliar locations. These studies often find that cats exhibit a clear intent and directionality in their movements, suggesting a capability for both random exploration and goal-directed navigation. Despite the abundance of theories, the exact mechanisms behind cats' homing abilities remain mysterious and are likely a combination of multiple factors, including sensory inputs and cognitive processes. My view on this one is very clear. The movie Homeward Bound was a 100% factual documentary, and absolutely in no way a work of fiction. The Oni. Oni are iconic yokai from Japanese folklore, representing supernatural demons or ogres. Historically, they are depicted as menacing creatures with formidable strength and a fearsome appearance, often portrayed with red or blue skin, wild hair, and horns. They are typically seen wielding iron clubs known as kanabo, symbolizing their brute strength. The origins of Oni in Japanese culture can be traced back to ancient texts like the Nihon Shoki and Kojiki. In these ancient texts, they are described as malevolent spirits inhabiting remote mountains or islands. Oni far predate the Edo period that is commonly associated with the development of many of the yokai that are familiar today. In folklore, Oni often play the role of antagonists in morality tales, where they are overcome by heroes demonstrating bravery and virtue. Classic stories such as Momotaro and Isunboshi depict battles between these heroes and Oni, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. Interestingly, Oni are not always portrayed negatively. In some cultural interpretations, they are considered protectors who guard villages and sacred spaces from evil spirits. This dual nature is evident in rituals like the festival of Setsubun, where Oni are driven out to bring good fortune and health, illustrating their complex role within Japanese mythology. Interestingly, beans hold significant importance in relation to Oni, particularly during the aforementioned Setsubun festival. Setsubun, which marks the division between seasons, is celebrated each year in early February. One of the key customs of this festival is the ritual known as mamamaki, or bean throwing. During mamamaki, roasted soybeans called fukumame, or fortune beans, are thrown either out the door or at a person dressed as an Oni while chanting the equivalent of "demons out, luck in." The act of throwing beans is believed to cleanse the home by driving away evil spirits and misfortune, and inviting in happiness and prosperity for the coming year. To explain the mechanics of this more, the Oni, placated by the offering of the beans, are expected to force all the other malevolent spirits to pack up their bags and go. Further, traditionally, one of the people throwing the beans was supposed to be a very strong, muscular man who was also a skilled wrestler. This man was supposed to act as additional defense against the Oni should the Oni want more beans. Oni's influence extends beyond folklore into arts and popular culture. They are a popular subject in traditional Japanese art, as well as no and kabuki theater, and modern media like manga and anime. They also frequently appear as themselves, or as inspiration for characters or enemies in video games. Given their previous association with certain mountains and islands, Oni make great mascots for these places in a famously mascot-obsessed nation. The Catman of Greenock. Here's a suggestion that has been consistently made by a variety of Discord members over the last couple months. Thank you to Gerbil, Boomslang, and Monoxide Wendigo for this truly bizarre suggestion. The Catman of Greenock, originating from the Scottish town of Greenock, is an allegedly feral individual known only by this moniker. The earliest sightings of the Catman date back to the 1970s, described as a nonverbal individual who crawls on all fours and is often seen with a blackened face, possibly from sleeping in sooty locales like bus depots. According to local lore, the Catman survives by eating rats and other small animals, a testament to his primal existence and his cat-like nature. Despite the peculiar nature of his appearances, he became something of a cult figure, with residents providing him with food and occasionally interacting with him. The Catman's existence was largely considered a myth until the late 2000s, when a cell phone video provided undeniable evidence of his reality. Captured in this video, the Catman is seen eating a rat, an image that quickly circulated among the local youth before gaining wider attention online. This video prompted discussions and even an attempted intervention by the Greenock Social Work Department, though efforts to formally assist him seemed to falter. Several theories have been proposed regarding the Catman's origins. Some suggest he was a Russian sailor left behind, or a victim of violence that left him disabled and disoriented. Others speculate about a possible escape from a mental institution. These accounts, however, remain speculative, with no definitive answers provided. In recent years, the Catman has been cited less frequently, though reports surfaced as recently as 2015. He has become a symbol of the community's compassion, with locals continuing to look out for him, providing food and warmth and a testament to communal care. Despite the many stories and theories, the true identity and origins of the Catman remain unknown, a lingering mystery in the folklore of Greenock. Notably, some maintain that the Catman is an urban legend, despite the ample photographic documentation you've seen on screen throughout this section. According to this theory, the individual in these pictures isn't actually the Catman, but rather someone playing the role of the Catman. Proponents of this theory note that there was no photographic evidence of the Catman prior to the late aughts, despite decades of purported sightings. However, Catman enthusiasts firmly support their stance by highlighting that it wasn't until recently that everyone had a camera in their pocket at all times. The Iron Pillar of Delhi. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, located within the Qutub Minar complex, stands as a testament to the advanced metallurgical skills present in ancient India. Crafted during the Gupta period around the 4th century AD, this pillar is renowned for its remarkable resistance to corrosion. The pillar, made of 98% wrought iron, measures approximately 23 feet in height and weighs around 6 tons. The inscription on the Iron Pillar of Delhi, which is not dated, praises a king named Candra without specifying his dynasty. This ambiguity has led to extensive scholarly discussion regarding both the king's identity and the pillar's exact age. In 1989, a collection of essays were compiled to examine the differing opinions on this matter. Today, most scholars agree that the king mentioned is likely Chandragupta II, the third ruler of the Gupta Empire in India. This assumption is supported by inscriptions in Sanskrit, written in the Brahmi script, which was possibly part of a larger Vishnu temple complex, before being relocated to Delhi. The pillar's composition is particularly notable for its low levels of carbon and the absence of impurities like sulfur and magnesium, which are typically found in iron objects. Instead, it contains phosphorus, which plays a crucial role in forming a thin protective layer on the iron, called mesowite. This layer is largely credited with the pillar's enduring resistance to rusting. Historically, the pillar has seen various locations and purposes. It was moved to its present location at the Qutub complex by the Tomara king Anangapala around 1050 AD. Later, it became part of the area surrounding the mosque, built in the early 13th century, where it remains today. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. As usual, I love you all and thank you all for your support. I really appreciate how many of you have come to enjoy my content. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube members Jordan All and Lowlife Baphomet. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone.